What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Granny's Peach Tea. With me, as always, is Tony and Jason and our special guest from the Jader and Kyle show. Jader's in the house.
How's it going, guys? How are you?
Dude, we were just having an awesome discussion.
We were in the shit. We were in the shit.
We actually started this show 20 minutes ago, but you guys weren't here. We just the four of us.
Man, we couldn't help ourselves. We had to.
And I'm not gonna lie to you. When you just popped me in there, and I was like, "Oh shit!" I'm like, "We're live." That's why I was like, But yeah, dude. No. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm a huge fan. I had no idea what the show was until I think the week before you started. We promoted it in our show. We said, like, all right, we're gonna have a show, Granny's Peach Tea. Check them out. And then I found out it was a comic book show, and I was like, why wasn't I told about this shit? What the fuck, Steve? What the fuck, Steve? But I love it. I love what you guys do. You see me in the chat room all the time, man. I absolutely, I grew up with this shit. I love that it's what we're getting now. We're like, again, we're just getting greatness right now from certain studios, which we'll get into in a bit. But
we'll jump into that bit.
But thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me on.
No, thanks for coming on, man. And like when you've been commenting on WandaVision recently and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, man, Jada's definitely gonna be reaching out.
For sure.
I feel it now. He's coming.
That episode ended, and the first thing, besides picking up my mouth from the floor, was text Steve, and I'm like, get me on Granny's Peach Tea next week. Make it happen. And he was like, oh, I'm sure they'll love to have you, dude. And I'm like, all right, let's do this shit. And
on a side note, my thumbs have healed from the convincing it took. Just saying.
No. I was like, talk to my agent, guys. I don't know, man. No, but yeah, dude. No. When I requested Ed, we spoke quickly, and he was like, "Oh, I knew you were gonna." I'm like, "Let's save this for the podcast. Like, let's save it because we have so." Look, man, I have notes, bro. I have notes.
He's prepared. I love it.
I'm ready to go, man.
Jenna, can I also say that I'm completely digging your chunk T-shirt? That is awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
That's a Ruffle Shuffle T-shirt. I love it.
Thank you. That's got. It was actually. I don't know if you guys know that I'm like self-plugging right here, but I'm on the Movie Trivia Schmodown. I don't know if you guys follow that or not. Mm-hmm. But one of my things that I was gonna do was get a dope shirt for every match. But we've had COVID where I had a Mrs. Doubtfire, Robin Williams like flicking like when Pierce Bronson. I have that T-shirt. And all you see is like the top, and I'm like, man, this sucks. So I'm like, hey guys, what's going on? Like I have Jim Carrey coming out of the Rhino. I have that shirt, but it's like in the bottom half again. So, but thank you for digging the shirts, man. I always try to find like some crazy ass shirts for our fellow viewers. So
love it.
Yeah, same thing. I was like, man, I've been going DC hard for these last couple episods. I had to bust out the Spidey shirt.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're covering DC. It's appropriate. It's appropriate. You're covering the DC films. I try to watch your show like throughout. I'm usually pretty in there, but if the kids are running around or something, you know how that. I don't know if you guys got kids, but
no, Tony and Jason do.
Yeah,
mine is a little 11-month-old puppy running around the house going crazy, but that's where my hands are full. I got some time.
You got time. Bro. You got time.
All right, so let's jump into a quick thing before we hit WandaVision and we get crazy. Is the Falcon and Winter Soldier Super Bowl trailer? I mean, I've watched the hell out of that thing. I know Tony did. Jason, usually not. Really, you didn't? Did you see it at all?
No, I didn't see it. I saw the first trailer they released, but I feel like I always have this rule where I'll watch trailer 1. I won't watch trailer 2 or 3. They tend to be spoilery because they always want to give you just a little bit more. If I'm sold by the first trailer, I don't need to see 2 or 3. If I'm not sold, then I do want to see trailer 2 and 3. Get me to go to the movies. A perfect example of terrible trailers was you guys covered this movie already, but BVS. That showing that Doomsday at the very end of the trailer for me was the biggest mistake they could have done, because we were all expecting it.
You knew where they were going. You
Yeah,
knew it was coming.
you knew where it was going to go. You knew what was going to happen. And you're like, I bet you anything that this movie wouldn't have gotten as much hate as it did had they not shown that, because they would have been like, oh, shit, they brought in Doomsday. I mean, not a saving grace for the film, but the element surprise would have benefited the film, in my opinion.
No question.
So I tend not to. When I saw that there was a trailer, I was tempted. I'm not going to lie to you. I was tempted, because it's a 2-minute trailer versus a, what is it, 6-7 hours that we're going to get of a TV show, because I think Falcon and Winter Soldier are going to be 6 episodes, not 9, because of scheduling. I think it's only 6 episodes. Okay. Yeah. So I was like, I know 2 minutes is not going to give away the whole plot, but I just tend to like trying to say, even with WandaVision, I haven't seen. I never saw trailer 2 until recently. That my girlfriend mentioned something. She goes, "Oh, it's in the trailer." I'm like, "No, it's not." And I saw trailer 2, and I saw 2 things that I didn't want to see it. I'm like, "Fuck! This is why I don't watch it. This is why I don't watch trailer 2." But gentlemen,
go ahead. Jason's usually the same way. When we go to the when we catch at the MCU films and everything like that, he's always like, "Oh, I don't want to see the trailers. I don't want to see the trailers. Stay away."
Yeah, I have a rule about trailers. It's if I know I'm going to want to see it, I'm not going to see the trailer. There's nothing to sell. So I am like the ninja warrior of avoiding trailers and spoilers. I think it took me. I think it took me like maybe 2 months before release to actually watch any Infinity War trailers, and that was because I was so excited about it. I had to check it out because that's my thing, the Infinity War. But that's me. So I only watched this trailer because Eddie specifically texted me and said, "You have to watch the trailer before you come on today."
Yeah, for sure. I get it. I there's times again on the show where I have to, when we're covering movie news or whatnot, that I'm like, I have to see it. So I get it.
Yeah,
I don't watch any DC trailers anymore after what happened with BVS and so on, and then them selling me on the fact that Suicide Squad was going to be a great movie, and meanwhile they mind fucked everybody with it. So I don't watch DC trailers anymore. Marvel I watch because they don't give away anything, and whatever you think you know nothing. So
yeah. Have you rewatched the Suicide Squad trailer? Because it popped up on my news, not my newsfeed, but on my memories, your Facebook memories when you share or whatever. Sick trailer. The trailer is so good. And the Bohemian Rhapsody is so great when they use that song with the trailer. Fuck.
I would watch that trailer for 2 hours rather than watch the actual movie. I would just watch it on loop for 2 hours instead of having to watch the movie.
Yeah, the beard's gone, guys. The beard's gone. But yeah, dude.
Well, with the trailer that we did get, the Super Bowl, during the Super Bowl, they only aired an X amount, and it was like, hey, watch the full trailer on YouTube. And of course, like during halftime, before the weekend came on, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go watch the trailer because I can't like help myself with it. But they didn't give anything away. Spoiler. I mean, stuff we knew. We knew like Zemo's coming back. He's gonna have his comics proper mask and everything. So we knew that was coming. We knew Agent 13, Sharon Carter, was going to be back. They showed her kicking some ass, which we really didn't get to see yet.
Yeah, that's dope.
No, we got a taste of that. We got a taste of U.S. Agent, who's more of like he's more red, white, and blue now.
Very little bit. Yes,
very little bit. But we all knew he's there. They showed pics and stuff. And a lot of it, though, was focused on the relationship, the whole buddy cop thing between Sam Wilson and Bucky. Which it was awesome. It was pretty damn funny. And that was the focus of it. And I think that's a good selling point, too. It was almost like Marvel's Lethal Weapon, which is that's the vibe that I got from it.
The buddy cop. Yeah, and you got that vibe from Civil War. As soon as, in the car, the whole I hate you. And when Peter, when they're fighting Spider-Man by themselves in the back and forth, man, that you can tell it's going to be a Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, and they run with that. They lean into that, which is a great selling point for. I mean, I think fans like us, we know that it's like, we know that that's what they're going to lean into. And they did put a little mystery of who has the shield, which we know what we saw in Endgame.
That I did read. I did read that Bucky had the shield or picks up the shield or whatnot.
Yeah, like Sam throws it and Bucky holds it for a second, so they're just playing with us again to say, is he actually going to be it or not? But a trailer's job is to get you more excited than you were before. Falcon and Winter Soldier was the MCU show, on Disney Plus that I've been the most hyped for. And I mean, it just brought it to like another level because we're all in WandaVision right now. But then it was almost like a smack in the face to say, hey, listen, this show's coming next. you know,
you know what's crazy? It was the third for me, and
Really?
I'm hyped for it. I'm by third, I mean like out of like giving them 10s or 9s of anticipation hype level. Like it was like it was a 9 versus not a 9.5 or a 10.
Okay.
Loki for me is what really like, because I just love the character so much. Yeah. Loki's the one that, but WandaVision was my number 2, and so far I hope I'm wrong. I don't think this is going to get topped this year.
It's going to be hard.
I don't see how they can. I don't see how it's possible.
I don't think
I really don't. And you know what? When you talked about, when you had everybody talking about all of the Disney Plus shows that were coming out, right? You were talking about everything, same thing, Loki, Falcon, Winter Soldier, and everything at the as they listed all the different shows, Hawkeye, She-Hulk, Moon Knight. They talk about all these things, and then they would say at the very end, oh, and then there's also WandaVision, which sounds interesting because I don't think anybody had any idea what was going to be, and now that it's front and center, people are riveted by this, and I can't. I called Ed texted me literally. I told him I said, okay, I'm watching it right now. At literally 38 minutes, he texts me, "Are you done?" And the credits were just rolling, and I'm like, "Yes." And he goes, "Call me." And we proceeded to talk for 57 minutes about this 30. We talked for 57 minutes about a 38-minute episode.
I had three phone calls. Literally, a buddy of mine was texting me, right? And he was like, he's like, "Hey man, didn't think I was going to enjoy Paul Bettany." Just he goes, "I need Paul Bettany to whisper my whole life," because he's like. He goes, and I told him, I'm like, honestly, they're giving like award-winning performances, and this is no bullshit or anything. Like they are acting their asses off, right?
Oh, agreed.
We'll get into that. Like
they need to be nominated for something.
They really
both of them are amazing. Like every time I see Paul Bettany switch from Vision to human himself, like just the way he carries himself is so different. And same thing with Elizabeth Olsen. Like my biggest complaint with Vision and the Scarlet Witch, or Wanda Maximoff, but I'm just going to call her the Scarlet Witch, in the movies is no aliases, no funny names. But my biggest problem with them is they were underrepresented in those movies. I wanted more of them, and I was bummed when Vision died, and this is everything I wanted with them. I'm so happy with it. But anyway, we'll get there.
We'll get there. It's funny because my girlfriend mentioned something as well when we were watching, when Infinity War came out in the theater, and we were watching something, but we'll mention it. Well, it's the whole her holding back Thanos, because she's like, they've underutilized this character. And she goes, and I hate that they represented her this way in the MCU. Now she's watching this. She goes, this is what we needed, what she needed as a character. But we'll get into that. So I don't know where you guys want to begin. Top of the episode, what are we doing?
Yeah, no, let's kick it off, because that was honestly the perfect transition from the trailer, the Super Bowl spot to WandaVision for episode 5. So we'll go through the episode quickly. We're not going to go place by place, because if you're watching this, obviously we're warning you now. We're spoiling the hell out of it.
Spoiler, guys. Yeah.
Yes, you've been warned 1,000 times over. We don't want to hear any crap. So that's that. So this episode, though, was more than any previous ones. Was split between the sitcom view and then also the viewpoint of the actual MCU. You know, mainly through Sword. I personally loved the sitcom intro, though, with the Family Ties, Growing Pains inspired thing.
So good.
If you hear the theme song, that's even like you're getting in there, because it's talking about, no matter what, we're dreaming, no matter, and you're like, holy shit, man. Even the lyrics to that, you're like,
yep.
It was deep. It was some deep shit in there, and they
it set the tone. It set the tone for the whole episode. That's for sure.
It absolutely did.
Yeah. Now, how do you guys feel about Baby Vision?
I love
that. Really, I mean, that was creepy.
I love Baby Vision.
That was fantastic. I loved it, and then the whole thing. It just obviously done for comedic purposes, because we know Vision was done. He's a fucking human. I mean, human. He was an adult or a robot or a sentence or whatever you want. Yeah. When he was created, but I thought that was such a nice touch, because it goes just with the '80s themes. Like I was seeing, again, Family Ties, Full House, all that when I was watching that intro, and I'm like, I love this. But
yeah, it was great. I mean, I actually had woke up pretty early, like 7:30 in the morning on Friday, and I was like, I gotta pop this in. I literally started thinking about the show and jumped on. I'm laughing my ass off on my couch at that time of the morning, watching this intro. I thought it was spectacular.
Look, we got what? We got Groot, we have Grogu, and now we have Baby Vision. So
Yeah.
what's next? What could possibly be next? Because someone's going to do it.
Sounds like a great idea for a pop.
I actually hope they make an action figure of like Vision in what was it, junior high school, like in that outfit he was wearing, writing on the board. I want that action figure.
That's awesome, dude.
But that ties into the other thing, though. So if we go to like earlier on in the episode, Agnes, who I know Jada's on board with the Agatha Harkness theory with this, and I think this
1000%
hammers it home even further. Like there's no way it can't be. It can't be. So Agnes asked, to take it from the top, though, because she's like asking about the children and the twins, and then they're kind of like a little hesitant about it. And he's like, and then she kind of like sort of breaks the fourth wall. I was like, "You want me to take it from the top? I'm in a sitcom." And then Vision's like, "What the hell is going on here?"
Yeah,
and they do that, and then she backs away. Freaky shit.
Although something to notice, though, this is the second time that she looked terrified. Like she looked terrified when she thought that like she had messed up, and she was like, "Do you want me to take it again?" She looks scared of Wanda. So if she is Agnes Harkness, I'm curious what the dynamic is. I'm curious what's going on, because we also saw her look terrified. What was it, the second or third? The episode where
she pushes Monica out the hex.
Right, exactly.
The hex.
So it's the hex now. That's it. They've established it.
Man.
So
here's catching up.
It is.
Apparently it is.
It is. It's everywhere now. But I actually do love that they're bringing in the verbiage from the comic book that they didn't own the rights to in very clever ways. So now that's the hex. She has hex power. That's been established here in a very, very clever way.
Right before we get to where we're going, just the very beginning, before the credits roll, the opening credits roll, she's carrying Thomas, right? She's carrying Thomas, and he's crying, and she goes, "If you stop crying,
you're my favorite twin."
Immediately, Vision comes in with Billy, and he's saying the same thing. I mean, he's like, "Oh, you can't do that," and he goes, "I try to read him, Charles Darwin, The Descent of Man," which is a book that talks about human evolution. That is so dope to me that was even mentioned. So subtle. The subtleties of the show is what I love. Again, Wu learning the magic trick, beautiful,
spectacular.
Mm-hmm. So it's just little things like that automatically
writing is spectacular.
So when I was seeing that, I'm like, man, these people, because Charles Darwin, they mentioned him in the X-Men films, and just him saying that, reading it to mutant twins, which they were not allowed to say mutants, they were called the twins, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver and all that. Just that mention alone was super dope. Then you mentioned, obviously, Agnes comes in, she's doing the babysitting thing, all that, and then she's doing the lavender thing, she's grabbing the dark whiskey, and it's kind of like it points like if she's doing a potion or some shit.
Yeah,
like a fish. I thought that was dope too.
But
that's what I wanted to talk.
Well, no, I was just going to say to go on to your point, Ed, about that scene with Agnes. It was the second time now in 2 episodes where you saw there was something that happened that was outside of Wanda's control, which is, as you go through this episode, and we'll get to more and more, that you're seeing that she is not controlling everything, that has the illusion that she is, but she really isn't. And that's the second thing that happened, because the first thing was when Monica made the comment about Ultron, and then she fired her out of the place. The second thing being that now that she gets into that thing, now she would obviously distract Vision, or make him, he wouldn't understand, or he would just kind of go play along. But she didn't do that. And I think what's happening is that as these episodes are going on and on and on, and everything is happening, as each individual thing is happening, now you have Sword coming in, so on and so forth. She's losing control of the grip, and also you could see that someone else is trying to push her into doing the things that she's doing. So I thought that was a big tell moving forward, and obviously we saw more of it as the episode goes on.
Absolutely. Another thing, right before, remember that she tries to put the kids to sleep. and she can't control the kids.
She can't do it. She can't do
Before
it.
it cuts to the theme song, she says it. She goes, "What did she say?" I wrote it down actually.
There's actually a site that has all of the lyrics of all of the theme songs.
Yeah.
Yes, there is. I'll find it. I'll post it on the thing. But there is actually a site that compiled all the lyrics of the intro songs to each episode.
This is what she said. Okay, it says, "Kids, you can't control them." It's literally what I
right there
before it cuts to the thing, and I love that too. That was again a little jab because I have to as we get deeper into the episode. I have my theories on what's going on with Agatha. So
do you think she did the jab though, or do you think it was more she was also referencing that she can't control them, like Vision and Wanda as well?
I think she was talking more about the kids. Like I think it was like a straight shot. Like you can't control the kids, because they were even questioning like why are these kids growing not growing so fast, but how are these? With the whole pregnancy, they're like, how does she even have this power? I thought she had everybody under this hex. How is this even happening? Because the kids are very real,
Yeah, well, the kids also age up, by the way, right after they get sprayed with the lavender. So the question being, did Agatha, that's who we're going on the premise that's who it is, did she give them this ability, or did that spray cause them to potentially suddenly start aging? Because they start aging at will for the rest of the episode, then, essentially.
Yeah, when they said that they had to be 10 years old in order to keep the dog, and then all of a sudden
they become 10 years old.
Yeah.
I think the key to what's going on is going to wind up being these kids, because it's clear throughout the whole episode that the kids are not affected. The kids are to jump ahead a bit, because we said spoilers. When they find the dead dog, the kids go, "You can bring back the dead Ma. Can't you just bring it back?" The kids are definitely, and they're real. We know they're real. They've established that. So I think they're a part, and I agree with Tony. I don't think Wanda's fully in control, and I think they're a part of it. We're going to find out they're a key part of it, because they are the only ones outside of her control, and she's losing control more and more since they're born.
Absolutely. Yeah. And leading up to that scene when they were looking for the dog, right? And I don't want to go too far ahead, because I do want to talk about the fact, everything that happens before that. But right when they're looking for the dog, they're walking down the street, and the mailman is there, right? Yep. So they're saying, "What's going on?" And he says, "Oh, we're looking for the dog." And he goes, "Oh, don't worry, your mom won't let him go too far." So everybody in the town thinks that Wanda is totally in control. Wanda thinks that she's totally in control, but you see, as this episode goes on and on and on, she's not. There's other stuff that's happening on the back end here, and it's not her. So, and it's how they've gotten to this point has been masterful. I mean, they have really, look, we have an idea what's going on because we know the story that they're basing it on. So we know the things to look for, but they have done, the writing on this show is outstanding.
Oh, it is.
Then when the twins do age up, though, they're also wearing the same exact colors of Wiccan and Speed, who they are, and they end up becoming eventually, we believe in the show at least too, and the Young Avengers also in the comics. And Sparky the dog.
I hope this isn't like a one and done thing, just a quick mention. I hope that they stick with going with the Young Avengers and all that. That I want to see again. Wiccan. I want to see Hulkling. I want to see everything plan out. So
we also have Kate Bishop on another show. We also have Scott Lang's daughter also in the other show too, Cassie. In the movie. So yeah, Cassie Lang. So there's a lot of things being set up there for that. All right, so then you mentioned Sparky also. Sparky the dog is also a reference in the comics during a run of Vision. Unfortunately, he also dies in the comics as well. Yeah. In an unceremonious way, so he kind of gets the shit end of the stick constantly. But if we scale it back, though, let's talk about Monica Rambeau for a second. Let's do it. She's going ahead. She gets her vitals taken, and they're blank. So after she comes out of the hex, now the question is this. Are we thinking that she gained her abilities that we believe that she's fully going to get from the hex, or she had them previously and was kind of being outed? What do you guys think?
I think I don't know if it's when she got into the hex but I have a feeling as well that once Wanda pushes her out, maybe gave her some sort of powers as she's going out. I think Wanda had to do with what happened to Monica.
Okay. What do you guys think, Tony, Jason? Do you think she had them before?
I'm on board with that. Yep. No, I don't think she had them before. I think that this is something that it happened while she was inside the hex.
Yeah.
But I definitely think it's something that happened in there. I don't think she had it before. But as soon as I saw that, I was like, yeah, they're definitely going down that road with her now. So
super dope. Super
Yeah.
dope. Oh, that they were running the test skills and they couldn't do it. I was like, yes.
Yeah, I definitely I agree. I think it has something to do with her being in there. She was different. Like she walked into there, right? Like no one else walked into there and joined that like she did. Everyone else was kind of hijacked. So I think there's got to be something in her entering and then exiting the hex and like being in the hex and being removed. I think that she's somehow taken something with her from the hex or, from that world that's created for sure.
Yeah, that whole reality that's being rewritten, because they also mention that as well. There's some like exposition stuff, which is fine. I think they did it in a smart way. It didn't feel like it was Rick Flag in Suicide Squad exposition, where literally all his dialogue was exposition.
This is Katana.
Exactly. Yeah, she's got my back.
Dumbest shit ever, man.
Whatever.
Sorry.
Let's stick to the
Can we wait to beat the Suicide Squad up until we get there, guys?
Yeah, let's hold off. It's hard, man.
There's plenty to say on that road. Don't worry about it.
But by the way, though,
can you really say that to Harley here? Come on, she tried so hard.
She was the best part of the movie.
So
I agree.
The scene though, they also mention like Captain Marvel, and Monica seems a little bit.
I love that.
She don't be pissed. She pissed at Captain Marvel.
She shut that shit down,
dude. Exactly. And even Jimmy and Darcy were like, "Okay, let's not."
Okay, my bad. Sorry, man. I mean, I got some beef going on.
Jimmy be taking notes with. He'd be taking notes like, "Oh boy, she is not happy with Captain Marvel." Oh my god.
Yeah, that was really some shit. I mean, you guys think that like maybe it had to do because she wasn't around when her mother passed, or it's like you think it is related?
I think that's it. I also feel like Captain Marvel was around because Carol Danvers is not going to do that.
Yeah.
Remember that Monica was gone during the blip, or
Monica wasn't there.
We're calling it. She wasn't there, so I'm pretty sure that Captain Marvel was there, and she's some way or another is going to be like, dude, I was there, you weren't, and I had to be there because we thought you were gone.
It also has to probably do with part of the fact of is that she was there from the very, when she was there when she was a kid, and then she disappeared, never came back. Yeah. So I'm sure that has something to do with it too. There's got to be some animosity about from that as well.
Yeah,
that's Carol's control. But right before she mentions Captain Marvel, let's not forget, man, that she mentioned someone to do aerospace engineering.
Oh, you got me! I was about to. That was the next thing. Go with it. Go with it.
Man, I'm hoping because who are the big brains in the Marvel universe, right? So I'm hoping it's an introduction to Dr. Richard Reed or even Doctor Doom. I'll take Victor Von Doom.
I knew Jason was going to explode.
I want Victor Von Doom.
I will take Victor Von Doom. I would take Doctor Doom over that because in my head I'm like, who is it? Banner? Tony Stark's dead. I'm like, it would be the best. And then they obviously, again, this is so well written because it was dismissed. Like she was like excited, and then boom, they mentioned Captain Marvel. You're like, no, go back.
Yeah, go back.
What were you gonna say?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was again pristine writing, man.
So there's another aerospace engineer that I'm gonna throw out there that I think it is, and I think Reed Richards or Victor Von Doom are great ones, and I know we're swinging for the fences, right? Like
I am. Absolutely. Yeah. After this episode, I'm swinging for everything.
Yeah, we were talking about Magneto.
If Magneto isn't at the end, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm gonna tell you right now.
I want to throw in my theory here. I think because of the TV, the character from X-Men Mojo is behind the whole thing. If that happens, you mark my words. I said it here.
All right, we're gonna say
you're gonna get full. Jason, you're gonna get full credit for that, bro. Trust me. I will make sure that everybody on the internet knows that was your theory all along.
Only if it comes true. Only if it comes true.
If it does,
throw cold water on all of this because I know we're swinging for the fences.
So wait, I'm not done yet. If there is no Mojo, though, I'm going to be bringing this shit up for like the next 5 years. So I'm just forewarning you. Okay, because we've heard about this so much. If there is no Mojo, you are not going to live it down, bro. I'm sorry.
Fair enough.
All right.
Everything's coming up mojo.
I'm just telling you, that's
Kevin Feige is actually watching this show right now, so
Exactly.
Kevin Feige, if you're listening, double down on mojo.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with
Save
Riri
face
Williams.
now.
I'm going with Riri Williams. She's
Riri,
Riri
yeah.
Williams is
I didn't
Ironheart.
hear the name. I didn't hear what you said.
Riri Williams.
Okay.
She's Ironheart in the comics. She succeeds it. She also has a Disney Plus show coming down the line. Just one of the shows that they announced. So I wouldn't be totally shocked if they were going to use this to introduce her, to the MCU. She's fairly a new character, but again, being that she has a show coming, is kind of where I'm leaning towards her as being the intro. And
yeah, but I think that show's not coming until what, end of 22, early 23.
I think we're getting that sooner than Fantastic Four, though, which is why I don't want to rain on the Reed Richards thing. Now, don't get me wrong, if Reed Richards is there, dope. I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm right with you guys. I'm all in there, but I just throwing Riri out there is who I'm putting my money on for this, still. But hopefully we'll see soon. Absolutely. So there's also that mention in that same conversation, though, because there was a lot, is that they're kind of talking about, and I felt like this was kind of like acknowledging what the fans have been saying, is that Monica also mentions that Wanda is awfully powerful. She's displaying powers that we haven't seen before, and that she almost took down, they do point out specifically, she almost took down Thanos by herself, if not for him calling for raining fire. And that's what Jada was talking about, what his wife was mentioning, that her power display has been hinted at very briefly, but never really dived into until like now.
Yep.
I think that they've done that probably purposefully. I think that you saw how powerful she was in Age of Ultron at a young age, and it was raw. She didn't really understand the power. And then you saw her in Civil War when she put Vision through the floor, actually about 30 floors. But when you saw her do that, you're like, okay, this chick has got some shit. And then when you saw her in Infinity War, even more a little bit, and then the fight with Thanos. So after seeing her with Thanos, I said to myself watching the movie, I'm like, she is really coming into her own. She's starting to figure out exactly what she can do. And now, being that it's after this, and she's got that rage thing going, which we all saw, and she is fully in control of what she did. But I got a question, because we haven't touched on it yet. When she came out and she was talking to them, did you notice her accent?
Yes, I did.
Her accent, which has been gone for the last three movies, has all of a sudden started to come back a little bit.
But the question being why, though? Now, a lot of fans, and I'm sure we also did too, we were ripping on them about it's inconsistent.
Absolutely. I was like, she forgot that she was from fucking Sokovia now?
No, yeah, exactly. They actually took that. It's almost like they got to the point where she learned English to the point where she didn't have the accent anymore.
That's one of the theories.
She came out, right? She came out. It was there. It wasn't as pronounced, but it was there.
It was there.
Yeah. No, it was heavily there. And then people thought also like that in Civil War, you see her, and then you see that Black Widow was taking her kind of like under her wing, and like in the whole Lagos thing, which we'll get to in a second. The whole Lagos thing, like maybe Black Widow was teaching her, hey, this is how you disguise your accent, and you go further undercover with that, and maybe you kind of just bury it like that, since she was on a run. Also, when we see her in Infinity War, and the disguise there, so it's a logical way to maybe it was intentional, maybe it wasn't, but whatever. We can write it all.
I can forgive it, man.
Well, I'm going to posit like a psychological theory for why this could make sense.
Oh.
Because so we meet her in Age of Ultron. She's the villain. She's from one of the villains. She turns, of course. She's from Sokovia. She's got the accent, and then she's kind of adopted by the Avengers. She's brought back to America, and she sort of becomes one of the good guys. So she starts to adapt. She starts to try to emulate those who have rescued her, who are trying to redeem her. But now she's very clearly a villain again, right? And so maybe that switch to villainy, the whole thing, she goes back to that accent because she's not trying to fit in. And I think the fact that the television shows are American sitcoms, where she doesn't have the accent and she is putting on this sort of angelic form, I think sort of supports that because, she comes out with the Sokovian accent. She's very much the villain. She's ready to sort of attack. She uses her powers. You've got the warning. So I think at this point, I don't know previously in the other movies, but at this point, Marvel has decided to either lean into it and course correct, or that's been their plan the whole time. With MCU, I could never tell.
Yeah, exactly. Even if they do goof up, they'll find a way to cover it up easily, and then we're like, fine, we're all in, no problem.
We'll eat it all up, man.
Yeah. You got our money already. It's fine.
This is not DC. This is a Marvel show.
Exactly. But when she steps out, though, when she steps out of the hex and she's letting Sword have it, essentially saying, "Hey, you guys leave me the fuck alone. I got what I want. You guys do your thing, and I'll do my thing." When she turns the guns on him.
So
you didn't
cool.
get those Magneto vibes. I know Jada was like, I'm losing his shit. Like, dude.
I was losing my shit. I'm like, she fucking bro. It's so good.
She's doing the damn thing right there.
I wish they would have done it like Magneto but too on the nose. I like the fact that they all pointed the weapons. Hayward is going fucking nuts. Like, what the fuck? She goes in back like a G. Love that scene completely. I spazzed when I saw that. So
yeah, it was something. You got those Magneto
unbelievable. Yeah, it was such a great scene, and to see her sheer anger. But right before that, seeing the fact that when we had this conversation, we had no idea what happened to Vision after Infinity War. Well, apparently Sword had him and tore his ass apart. Right, and was trying to. I don't know what the hell they were doing with it. I'm assuming that we're going to find that out as well. What they were trying to do with him in that lab. And when she got wind that he was there, she just said no, and she went in there and she got him and she took him out. Now the other big reveal that we found out just before this whole thing is that she resurrected him. They freely admitted the fact that he's alive.
He's alive in the X without a Mind Stone.
Without the Mind Stone. And Jay, I don't know if you remember from one of the conversations we had a couple weeks ago, but they've established the fact, Banner and Shuri, they established the fact that Vision can function without the Mind Stone.
They mentioned that in Infinity War as the shit's going down outside Wakanda,
And she's trying to take the Mind Stone out when they come in, when Corvus Glaive comes in there to try to get it. So, I mean, there is a strong possibility that Vision is back permanently, and I mean, I would be very happy with that, obviously, because
of course, absolutely,
But Vision in the comics does die and then does come back as a different color, right? And
great color.
Yes, which is that color what happened when he ripped the shit out of his head. So
Infinity War, I was like, oh, he's not dead. I'm like, hey, he's gonna turn into
because that's the same color that they turned him after. Yes, I thought exactly the same thing. So I'm very excited about that. The idea that he is back.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions around the record.
Everyone was saying because of the Mind Stone, how's he back? But remember, like, she got her power from the Mind Stone. So did he. She can manifest that shit.
And actually, I wanted to bring up, I think that's a good point. So my nephew, Alex, who's a big fan of this show, he watches everyone. He actually has a theory or not a theory, but he made an observation that at some point in these episodes, Wanda has done something that is reminiscent of a power of one of the Infinity Gems. And I think that's kind of interesting because they establish in this episode, they remind us she gets her powers from the Infinity Gems. And the one thing I want to point out, this was, I think, the biggest one, was she rewinds time at one point. She only does it once. She does it in that second episode. And after that, she always just sort of blinks and things change. But she literally rewinds time. She brings Vision back, right, which is sort of an embodiment of the Soul Stone. She creates a false reality, which is kind of a representation of the reality stone. There is mind control of the people of Westview. I think it's questionable whether she's doing it. That's kind of a question we're having, but it is meant to, at least right now, to appear she is, which is sort of a representation of the Mind Stone. So I think that's interesting, that they might be playing with the fact that she's kind of gotten supercharged by her encounter with Thanos and that sort of fight with him at that moment. So it was just something I wanted to bring up and shout my nephew out.
That's amazing. That's a
really good theory. That's
Bravo.
very good.
I actually love that. So,
good job, Alex.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
No.
I was like, holy shit, you're right.
Yeah. But they were also saying too that they mentioned in the episode as well that like creating the hex and doing that is they're saying that it's beyond anything Wanda's done. So they could be she got supercharged by the Infinity Stones and stuff, or she's getting help creating this
She's being
from Agatha
fed.
Harkness
Yep.
and Mephisto. Who we're all rolling with too. We believe they're fully behind this whole thing, and it keeps playing out similar to how it did with House of M. So we'll see if that's these twins get snatched away eventually, and we won't spoil it for people who aren't too familiar with that part of it. But another thing,
this is a quick theory on that because I'm sorry guys, I have to go soon. But the email scene when Vision is at work. Right. I want to touch base on that very quick because they're reading the email. I didn't write down exactly what they says, but they're reading it like a cult, right? And they're obviously interjecting something with S.H.I.E.L.D., where Vision is clearly like, not S.H.I.E.L.D., Sword. Darcy's name gets in there. The Wanda's name is in the email, and then he's just like that. When he looks, that everyone's reading it at the same time, and he's already feeling a certain type of way, right? When he touches Norm, and Norm is saying like, you have to get her to stop. It hurts. He freaks out that his dad is sick. That where am I? This and that and that. And he touches him again, and it's back to sitcom Norm. I've seen way too many movies, right, where they're spoon feeding you this, right, and they're giving it to you straight, like everything's pointing to Wanda. It's not Wanda.
Yeah, right? No, and
thank you.
And I think that's kind of goes back to what I was saying before. She's losing the grip on what she has, and it's just showing. So now it started with that first episode was all buttoned up, right? Everything was perfect until the guy started choking, and she said, "Vision, help him." That was the only thing. And then the second episode, a little bit more, and then the third episode, a little bit more. I have a feeling at the end of this coming week, right, this next episode, I have a feeling that this place is going to be completely bananas. I think it's going to be it's just everything is going to be just crumbling around the whole thing, and it's going towards that way because each episode gets more and more chaotic as we go along.
No, it has to. And this is where everything points to Agatha in my book, right? Yes. Where that's one of the things that you were saying in the beginning that you don't know because she's kind of scared of Wanda. I think she's playing the part of being scared, to be completely honest with you. I honestly feel like she's the one that's in control. Wanda has some sort of control, but I think it's the big bads, and I think Ralph is Mephisto.
Yes,
I agree.
Yeah. We talked about
all with you on that one. She keeps mentioning him, but there's no sign of him.
No, there's no sign of him whatsoever. June 2nd, obviously being their anniversary. I actually rewatched the episode because my boy's like, "Hey, pick up on that June 2nd line again." He's like, "I'm not telling you what it is, but pick up on it." I was like, "All right." And June 2nd actually stuck out to me. It's my mother's birthday, right? So I started watching the episode, and I Googled June 2nd just for the fuck of it. That's the day of the Salem witch trials.
Wow!
There it is.
Wow!
Nice job on that.
I'll be here for 10 more minutes, guys. No,
Peter, if I ever meet you in person, I got to give you a high five for that one. I didn't even, and I'm currently teaching the Crucible about the Salem witch trials, and I didn't even pick up on that.
I thought that was so dope that she's like, "Oh, I have to get Ralph to on a wine bottle or a whiskey bottle or a drink bottle or something like that to remember our anniversary." It's the first episode. Go back and rewatch that scene in the beginning, and you're like, "What?" And my boy's like, "Boom, man!" I was like, "Holy shit!" So again, I feel like
unbelievable.
Like Agnes is holding everything. Ralph is Mephisto. Has to be. Yep. It sucks that this is the thing that sucks about all the theories is like when they don't come true and they're good, you're like, it's like disappointing, you know.
This is definitely the case, though. She mentions him every single episode, bro. Every episode, she mentions him at least once.
Well, let's hit on the quick thing because I know Jada's got to get going though because we can't let him go without the big thing. But we're gonna hit let's hit the commercial real quick.
I have to mention that commercial.
Yes, Lagos is where we go.
For when you make a mistake you didn't mean, a mess you didn't mean.
Yes, wow. I wrote that down. It was like, and it comes right after something happens where she. It comes right after she goes outside, right, and fights him. So it's like
she goes back inside. But again, they had mentioned Lagos earlier in the episode, and say because again, it goes back to Jimmy defends her. Jimmy defends her, and then she's like, she's not a terrorist. She's not. And then Monica jumps in and goes, "There's no political agenda. She has no political agenda." And then Hayward's like, "No, she's a terrorist. Didn't you describe the pain as such and such and such? Some excruciating shit." And then again, I feel like that's not Wanda. I feel like that's acting. You get me? So that's weird. You know.
Let me throw something else at you. Okay, so they made that comment. If you remember when they were having the meeting, they mentioned Lagos, right? Mm-hmm. They mentioned all the things. Oh, she was there. She blew up the thing in Lagos, and then she was there for, so they mentioned all the things, right? The Sokovia, so on and so forth. So they mentioned that, and then when she comes out and she throws the drone or the missile or whatever it is, right? And she comes out, Monica says, I didn't know that it was armed, but you know that already, she says. That to me is to let us know that Wanda knows what's going on outside the bubble as well.
Yeah, and by the way, one of those things on the drone, Stark Enterprises, on one of those missiles, that was being fired on her, which was bananas. That even tiny
awesome.
detail was in there.
Of course, and we've come to love Marvel because of their details.
Yeah. Well, let's hit the big thing, because I know we're up against the clock right now.
I know. I'm so sorry, guys, man. I fucked up, man.
No.
I had already committed to the show, and then I saw WandaVision. I'm like, shit, it's on Tuesday. Fuck. So because I could have talked with you boys all night, especially about Suicide Squad.
Jay, it's all good, but I have a feeling you're welcome to come back at any point.
No. If episode is 6 expect me here next Tuesday. I'm not.
No, but Evan Peters.
All right. Okay, let's go quickly. You go back. Vision quickly says, "We're one in the same mind. You can't control me." I talked to Norm. She's like, "I can't control you." Credits roll, which I thought was such a great touch. And they're arguing all that shit, and then you get pissed off Vision, which wow.
Pissed off and scared Vision,
right? Yeah, and you can hear it in his voice. But you notice that both of them are flying at that point, and they're looking at each other, and he loses it, and she says, "You've never talked to me this way," and you see her come down. So it's almost like, I bet I'm going to
remember my life.
I don't remember my life before I got here. And you can see she backs down at that point.
Yeah.
And she was going toe to toe, like, "No, you're going to listen to me. You're going to do what I say." And when he says that, it's almost like a reality check for her. Like,
snapped her out of it.
It almost a little bit. And at that point, when the doorbell rings, she says, "That wasn't me."
Exactly.
And you can tell when she gets to that door, right? She has no idea that that's going to happen.
She has no idea, and this is where I'm going with it, because she mentions, obviously, that she tells Vision, "You think I can get everybody to their appointment on time? You think I make people mow their lawn?" And I'm like, "No, you can't, because somebody else is controlling this shit." So that it goes back to it being Agatha. The doorbell rings. Vision looks at her like, "Oh, right on cue," expecting probably Agnes to come, right? And then she goes, "That wasn't me." And then he's like kind of looking at her. He goes, "Statistically, I can't believe you." Yeah. Goes to open the door. You see gray hair. All right. So we called this.
Yes.
On the show. I know it's been called, but did you guys think it was going to happen, or did you guys think it was somebody else? What did you think when you saw the hair immediately? Did you think Evan Peters? Did you think Aaron Taylor Johnson? Did you think Magneto?
When I saw the hair, I thought it was Evan Peters right away.
Yeah, so did I. Once I saw the hair, I knew it. We were all, we were
on board on the show. Yeah, I had said it in the comment. I remember.
Yeah, no, it's fine. We all figured it was Evan Peters that's there. But the big thing is this, though. I'm going to talk about what Jada mentioned before. We all seen a ton of movies. We've seen tons of shows. We know how this works. You're getting spoon-fed. It's not always what it is. Sometimes you get a red herring telling you this is not what you think it is. The internet explodes. We all explode. Oh, it's Quicksilver from Fox's X-Verse. What the fuck? It's
I don't think it's that.
Nope.
No, you heard her say, heard Darcy say, they recast Pietro.
Yeah.
She recast Pietro. Yeah,
beautiful line, beautiful line though.
Oh,
because it automatically throws cold water on it immediately. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, this is not the way this is not as it should seem. It's not as everything that's not exactly as it looks, and that's exactly what that line was supposed to say.
So who do we think he is? He is Quicksilver. Let's just say he is. he's Quicksilver from the X-verse, blown wide open, multiverse is crazy. And then did Mephisto send him? Or did Doctor Strange send him to try to wake Wanda up at some point?
Well, here's my thought on it.
That's where we're going with that.
I think it was Mephisto, because I do think it was yeah, exactly. She was having a moment. If we're saying that she's not in full control and there's someone else, and I think there's a lot there to suggest that, right? I don't think she lied to Vision in that back and forth with one word, right? So if she didn't bring him forth and she was about to have the same realization Vision had and maybe sort of break the hex, whatever's going on with her, maybe break out of that, then how do you stop that if you're the big bad? You send an incarnation of her brother, right? Yeah. And that's sort of been set up. The twins have been set up throughout, right? I mean, Pietro was mentioned was he mentioned the first time when she had the baby? The third one, right?
Okay, so, episode 3.
So ever since we see
she
twins,
had the baby, and she mentioned she was a twin before. Yep. Monica's like he was killed by Ultron.
Yeah. So I think it's a vulnerability thing.
But he was also mentioned in the beginning of this show when they were sitting on the couch, and then she was talking about your brother and your twin and your this, that, and the other thing. And she said, and he says, "Do you have a brother?" And she goes, "Yes, I do." Yeah, and he's far away. Yeah. Not now. The episode before was he was dead. Now all of a sudden he's far away.
Is he far away in another multiverse?
Exactly.
That's part of it. That's part of it. But also, where is she getting that thought process from? Because when she was snapped out of it and she started singing that lullaby, and then she had the whole thing with Ultron with Monica, she was in the moment, and she talked about her brother being gone, dead. Now all of a sudden she's back in the show and she's talking to the kids, and now, oh yeah, I have a brother. He's far away from here. Something changed, and it's not her that changed.
No, something's definitely up. I have a feeling it is Mephisto. I think it's a vulnerability thing. And
he's putting it in her head. He's definitely.
Yeah, I hope that Quicksilver is here to stay.
Me too.
Because this is the biggest game of just a tip played by Marvel. I don't think that they would do that, to be completely honest with you. I think they're working their way towards the multiverse, if you're gonna tell me, hey, we can bring back Aaron Taylor Johnson or Evan Peters, that's one of the things that I feel like Fox X-Men got right.
Agreed.
I love seeing Quicksilver in those movies. I didn't see Aaron Taylor Johnson wasn't bad, but for me, they came out a year apart, if I'm not mistaken. And when I saw Days of Futures Past, I'm like, holy shit, they nailed it. Like this is how I read Quicksilver and X-Men comics growing up. So I think they did the right move. I hope again that work it however you got to work it, but make this a real thing somehow. I don't want this to be again a one and done where it's like, hey, no, this was just for the show, guys. We got to recast Quicksilver, or we're not going to use any of the, because I think I like TV is his thing. He's an American Horror Story, like great in that show. I think he is a great actor.
Fantastic.
And I really want to see him. I want to see more of him in this universe.
It was the best 2.5 minutes of Apocalypse was with Quicksilver. That was it.
Agreed.
That was the only part of that movie that was watchable was that scene.
It was a repeat scene, and it was still better than anything in Apocalypse. They literally recycled the scene, different setting, and I'm like, this is the best part of the movie. It's incredible, and we've seen this already.
No facts. Or is he actually playing Mephisto? Is he actually Mephisto at the door? The sky's
This is the thing, and I said this to you on the phone, Ed, and this is interesting because he says, and it's a throwaway line, the last thing that was said was, "Who's the popsicle?"
So he can see Vision is dead.
That's one. Two, but here's the second thing: is that the original Pietro knew Vision from Age of Ultron, because they did Sokovia. So if it was really Pietro, he would know who Vision is regardless.
Yep.
So
that's a good catch.
Good catch.
Or the lamest thing could be is that he's just another person in the town who's being controlled and was playing Pietro sent to her door by Mephisto. Or
Shut
whatever.
your whore mouth, bro. Don't give me that.
Mikey doesn't usually do that. He doesn't do the troll job. Like usually when there's a payoff, it has something to do with something.
Agreed.
But I mean, is it possible? Sure, but I don't see it.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that this has got a much more sinister thing coming down the pike with this.
Yeah, I'm thinking Mephisto, or it actually is what we think what it appears to be, which I don't know, man. There's, as much as I want it to be Quicksilver, we all know Kevin Feige doesn't like to adopt things that he didn't obviously oversee and create. And we know how messy the timelines got with the Fox X-verse and all the other crap.
Yeah, but with this show, bro, if there's ever going to be a time where you're going to do it, this is it. There's just shit going on everywhere. So
I have a feeling that Feige can grab the positives.
He is. I mean, look, they just signed. They're doing a Deadpool thing. So I mean, he didn't oversee that. So he's definitely picking the things he likes and picking the things he doesn't like. So
and don't forget,
I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not saying that's what I'm in.
And don't forget J. Jonah Jameson, right? That was. I think that was a big thing because everyone said you can't recast that. He did it perfectly. And Feige went, "You're right. We're getting him in our movie.
Getting him back." Which was again an introduction, maybe to a multiverse, because isn't the Spider-Man film is supposed to be a multiverse movie, even though Tom Holland today said they're not in the movie. So
they gave him the wrong script.
I don't believe a word that kid says. So
fuck no. But gents, man, it's been great, man. Thank you so much for having me on. I hate that I have to go. I really do, because I would honestly love to shit on Suicide Squad with you guys. But let me know, man. Again, it all depends on my schedule next week, man. But if WandaVision is fire, I'll be reaching out.
Absolutely.
What are you doing them in chronological order? The MCU film? I mean the MCU films, the DCU films.
We're the only one we're gonna skip around is we're gonna move Justice League and save that for the week before Snyder Cut drops, so we can do them back to back.
Yeah. So you save yourself a headache. I mean, you saved yourself some agony 2 weeks in a row, so that's good.
I'm happy we're getting into the good run at least.
Right?
It's not as bad as that shit I watched last night, bro. So
no, it's not. I actually have dead bottom of the barrel Suicide Squad. I have Justice League and then Wonder Woman 84, which I would love to be on that show so I can shit on that movie too. But
we unfortunately did that. We did that week one. But I had Justice League, and then I had 50 Feet of Crap, and then I had Suicide Squad after that. So
I had the Suicide Squad trailer above the actual film.
Absolutely.
But Jader,
killing me here.
So I know you got to get going. Jader and Kyle's show. Whenever you guys are gonna come back, you can find Jader.
We're doing. We have an episode coming up. This is the thing. Like, I wish I had like a set time for the show. I don't. Steve hates this about us. We will record every week, but it's usually either going to be Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, depending on who our guest is, because we get a lot of people from the Schmodown that live in LA and they're busy and whatnot. This week I think it's just going to be him and I. We haven't done a solo show in a while. We're going to review. I think we're going to do like a comedy film. We don't even know what we review. We watch the movie and then we're just going to get deep dive. Look out for it either tomorrow or Thursday. Definitely won't be happening on Friday because him and I are both busy Friday night. But check us out. I have my match for the Schmodown. It will air March 19th. So I'll post that on the Pop Cultures Pro page. Wish me luck. My opponent is not an easy one. She knows my ins and outs because she's the one that helps me study. But sometimes friends it's like a Batman versus Superman thing going on. I told her so. It's gotta be the best. So it's gonna be fun because again, she's helped me study a lot, and she knows my ins and outs. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. That premieres March 19th, and then Jader and Kyle show. We do have a special guest coming next week and give you a sneak peek on that. Jeff Snyder from The Insider. He breaks all the movie news over. So Jeff Snyder is going to join the show next week. We're going to be covering The Crow. It's one of my favorite films and apparently one of his favorite films of all time. I feel like it's a highly underrated film. If you guys want to jump in the comment section, I'd really appreciate that. But yeah, that's it, man. All love to you guys. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks a lot, Jada. We really appreciate it, man. Good luck with the Schmodown and everything.
Thank you, man. Take care,
bro.
guys.
Thanks for coming on.
Take care.
Later, guys. Bye.
All right.
All right.
So there we go. That was some serious WandaVision action there, man.
I gotta get a drink. Hold on.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot to talk about. That was a heavy episode. Like, not heavy in a bad way, but there was a lot to dissect in that episode.
Yeah, no, there was a lot. When I was
yeah, it was.
notes, I'm like, what the hell? I feel like I'm writing my own novel over here. What the hell?
I'm telling you, 58 minutes, bro, on a 38-minute episode. I mean, we're on the phone for almost an hour.
That's why. Yeah. Well, we've been at this for almost an hour.
Yeah, but enough with the. We won't keep on going a little behind baseball, stuff here. Let's transition to our DC show, with Batwoman is on hiatus for the week because they were like, we're not crazy, we're not going to go up against the Super Bowl.
Smart idea.
Smart ideas, right? But Black Lightning has returned, as they say in the beginning of the show with the theme song. Black Lightning's back, and he is. It was a really good episode, man. Like, I know I'm out of the three of us, I'm the one who's been like on top of the CW verse. So to give the brief intro, like, Black Lightning is a character who essentially we pick up when he's been retired for 9 years. He kind of hung it up, and he has a family now and things like that. And he pretty much is like, he's just kind of like worried about the city and everything like that. But he's a principal. He decided to be a teacher and stuff like that. Worked his way up to principal, and he's got two daughters. And one of his daughters is like a teacher at the school, like Garfield, and his other daughter is going to the school at that time. But then over time, you find out that he passed on his metahuman powers to them, his genes. So then he finds out that his daughters have different abilities. So one of them becomes thunder, and the other one becomes lightning. Essentially, like the lightning daughter, she has powers similar to Jefferson Pierce. That's Black Lightning's name there. So, and then the other daughter has an ability where she kind of just like does this, like, takes in her breath quickly and then lets out a whole bunch of power. She's like super strong, and she can, be, healed. She's like invulnerable. So that's essentially where that picks up. And then they also have a character, the main villain in it has been Tobias Whale. Tobias Whale, the best way to describe him is he's kind of like Kingpin. It's a daredevil, philanthropist who like cares about the city, and that's his facade. But meanwhile, he's up to a bunch of shady shit behind the scenes. And then it ties out that he actually killed Black Lightning's father, when he was a kid. Yeah, it's a pretty messed up thing. And Black Lightning has this like whole thing where he feels guilty the entire time about not interfering and not stopping it. But obviously he was a child at the time. And Tobias Whale has been the same age this entire time because he doesn't age. He takes this like formula where he kind of like just stays at, and he's super strong, very much like Kingpin though, in that regard. So that's where they're kind of tied together. But in Black Lightning's old days, before he retired, he had Gambi, and Gambi is kind of like his guy in a chair as Spider-Man, and Peter Parker says there. So, and every hero on the CW verse has to have their guy in the chair and their tech guy. That's pretty much what hooks him up with the suit. They have a base and all the other stuff, so that's where that is. But fast forwarding to the episode, though, like it's an episode that catches us up. It's a year later from where we left off, and when we left off last season there was a Markovian war, and then the Markovians were trying to go ahead and get metahumans out of, they were trying to capture all the metahumans from Freeland and bring them into their army, and they were trying to like pretty much like dominate and all this other stuff. Like it was a pretty heavy season. A lot of crazy shit happened. But the episode picks up where I'm gonna just his Black Lightning's there. He's we're catching up with them. Like I said, things aren't great for the Pierce family at that point. Jefferson has once again retired as Black Lightning following the death of his close friend Henderson. Henderson was the chief of police at that time, but he died in the war. And Jefferson's like, man, I got my boy killed because of Black Lightning. Like he let him in on a secret. And, familiar theme we've seen throughout a lot of heroes. So I let him in on my secret. He knows I'm Black Lightning. He was hunting him for a while and trying to arrest him as a vigilante. And then he let him in, and then he feels guilty about that. So he's kind of like hung up his suit at that time. We also find out Jefferson's been drinking a lot to help cope with this. Kind of going to, Tony Stark route in the comics where he starts, drinking a bit much. And he's also having marriage issues with Lynn. They're back to having those type of things. That was something that was a theme like in the first season as well. Lynn supposedly, she's the scientist, but she supposedly kicked her usage of the serum that she created. She created a serum off of a drug called Green Light, who was something being passed around the city. But she took part of it out of it and was like using it so she can temporarily have metahuman powers. She almost like borrows them, and it wears off after like 24 hours, 48 hours. So that's where she's at. So apparently she's starting to use it again. But she's also using it in one scene where she's wearing a mask and she's taking down sex traffickers. So she's gotten now all of a sudden she's into the superhero crime fighting family theme that's going on with the show. That was actually kind of cool though, because she's been kind of like a damsel in distress for some of it, but not fully. Then we see Thunder and Lightning. They've picked up, and they're the ones kicking ass all around Freeland. They're protecting Freeland now. They're taking, they're working with Gambi in the base and everything, and they're taking down a gang called the 100. The 100 is a gang that's been a problem for Freeland for a while. They cause most of the trouble that's there. They're like selling drugs, mainly Green Light. And ahead of that 100 gang is Lala. There's a whole backstory with Lala I'm not going to get into, but he's the Jason. Yeah, he's the guy you guys may have seen. That was like, hey, here's these anti-meta guns, and he arms his troops with these anti-meta guns to take down. And they're like, yo, go after Lightning. She's the most powerful, because in this show, the baby daughter, the youngest one is the one who apparently is stronger than Black Lightning herself, like himself. She's got the most power. She's flying throughout the episode. We see that, which I thought was pretty cool, because she's kind of coming into her own. Because last season she was just kind of like stumbling and learning her way around town. But they're at home, and then they see Tobias Whale pops up on TV, by the way, who they thought was dead. And it's like, oh shit, Tobias Whale's back. We're in some shit, because Tobias Whale knows exactly who we all are. He knows Jefferson Pierce. He knows about Lynn. He knows about who Lightning and Thunder are. He knows about Gambi. He knows everything. So obviously this dude is going to come back, so you see that they're worried. And they do have like an interesting scene where they're talking about, we should kill this guy. Everyone but Jefferson, the whole family, the daughter, everyone's like, we should kill this dude. And he's like, we can't go become murderers now. Like, that's not us. We're like the good guys. But then there's like, hey, well, sorry to break it to you, but last season during that Makovian War, we all killed somebody. So this wouldn't really be something new. And this is to protect the family. That's what's most, at stake here. So the stakes for this show, essentially, like last year, was very much like, world domination, big thing. We need to take down the scale. But now it seems like they're scaling the show back to more season one, where they're going to be a bit more grounded. And that's the approach that they say, like, we're going to keep it local now. We're going to be like the friendly neighborhood, Pierce family, Pierce crime fighting family kind of thing, which I actually prefer, though. As much as last season was cool, I kind of like the more down to earth thing. But I was reading an article too that was one of the big scenes in this episode was the show creator. I'm going to butcher it. I apologize. Salim Kill. He shared his inspiration for a scene that is earlier on in the episode where Jefferson is visiting Henderson's grave, and he's coming back. He's going back home. He's driving, and then he comes across in the street I think he was at a red light. I mean, if I'm incorrect. But he sees, two white police officers interrogating this black teen who was there. He has a violin, and they're interrogating him like, yo, you got the drugs, give us these drugs and things like that. He's like, no, I don't have anything. I know what you're talking about. Jefferson gets out of the car. He intervenes, and he's like, listen, I know him. He wouldn't do that. That's not it. And they're like, then they pull guns out on him. They pull out at him, telling him, back up. We don't know who you are. Get out of here. Kind of mind your own business. And he's like, listen, the quote was like, I'm so sick of this. I'm so tired of this. He goes Black Lightning powers on them right there, like to stop them from what they're doing. He takes down the car. He's just like, screw it. I don't have my suit on. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to get this done. And he intervenes. So that was like a powerful thing. And, the creator said it was pretty much, the character with the violin was there. It was for Elijah McCain's story, who, in 2019 was, unfortunate incident that had happened. We're not going to dive into that because we're going to stick to the comic book aspects of this. And also for Trayvon Martin, which I thought was pretty powerful. But the things that are there, though, is that Jefferson, we find out later in the episode that Jefferson took out the cameras, he took out the body cameras, like he kind of like was like, all right, I did this without my suit on, everyone can know who I am. And he appears to do that, but then he finds out one of the traffic lights got a partial plate on him. And we see that the new chief and also a cop that's investigating him that was close to Henderson, they track him down, and they track him down at work and school, and they're like, listen, you're one of 5 people, similar plates, you want to tell us what happened? And he has no explanation. He's kind of like caught in a corner there. So to me, that's like a big storyline that I think we're going to find out this season. Also, being that's the last season of Black Lightning, all bets are off. Like, any characters can die, anything could be revealed. Are they going to find out his secret, which would be kind of crazy that, if you follow the show and if they all know who Jefferson was, then it's just like, with any hero, all bets are off. What did you guys think of this episode?
Well, go ahead, Jason, please.
Oh no, I was. If you want to go, please.
No, I got about 22 minutes into this episode, and it's the first time I'm actually watching the show, and I was actually intrigued, because I don't know. Admittedly, I don't know a tremendous amount about Black Lightning. I never, not a comic that I read, I didn't know a lot about him. But this show seems to be pretty well acted. It's definitely cast well. It's written. There's storylines. It's easy to follow. Whereas, picking up on, Batwoman after just season 2, and I feel like my head is spinning when I'm watching the show. But I enjoyed it, and I'm actually looking forward to watching the rest of the episode and then going forward. So it seems like it's a kind of rooted in reality kind of show, even though it's about a comic book hero. But it's definitely it reminds me a lot of Arrow, where it's takes place in the city, and it's believable. So I'm really looking forward to watching the rest of it, and it's something that I'll go back and actually probably watch the first couple of seasons so I can get caught up, because it's interesting. It's definitely an interesting show that I didn't really give too much of a thought about because I didn't really know the character all that well.
Yeah, I'm gonna say same here.
Yeah, Jason, I was gonna say you're starting to stutter with the video.
Oh, it's okay. I'm gonna log out and log back in.
All right. Wow, like a Thanos snap. Jason's gone.
Wow, that was
Jason,
good.
That was good, right? We didn't even plan that. I swear to God.
You got to get one of those Thanos gloves in order to, one of the gauntlets, and you got to do that because
I bought one for Marvel, right, over the summer, and she destroyed it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, she decided to rip it apart and eat it.
I can't see how puppies would do that.
No,
and
not at all.
And Marvel is so sweet. I can't imagine that she would.
But the great thing though was that she has a Captain Marvel hoodie that she was wearing, and
I've seen that.
Yes.
I know it. I actually saw the video. I think Angie put the video up of that, which was hilarious.
Yeah. Is that better?
You're lagging a little, but.
All right, give me 1 second. I just have to open my bedroom door because that sometimes blocks the internet. Give me 1 second.
Got it. Yeah, no, well, just to talk on it though, Tony, you're right. Like, I actually recently was watching Arrow on. Even though I've seen all the episodes, I was watching Arrow. They run it on TNT late at night for some strange reason. Mm-hmm. So I'm laying in bed going to sleep, and I'm clicking around. I'm like, oh shit, Arrow. This is like second season Arrow. Man, this is crazy. And it made me think, man. I'm like, man, the CW verse has really changed a lot over the years since like the early days of Arrow. But Black Lightning is very grounded like Arrow and kind of reminds me, like takes us back to like that whole type of thing, that kind of a scale.
That was the vibe that I got from it. And that first season of Arrow was outstanding. I mean, it just, I was hooked on that show from like the minute it started. I love the Oliver Queen character. I loved Diggle. I loved everything about it. I loved, his vision and his, the fact that he was so rooted in what he was doing and how Diggle kind of brought him, out of it a little bit. It was done so well. And I get the same vibe off the show. And that's, I think, what really is kind of got me so, intrigued by it.
Yeah. All right. So, Jason, now that you're back, share what were your thoughts on Black Lightning?
So I very much like Tony, I had no idea who this character was before I watched this episode because my DC fandom starts and ends with Batman and then kind of goes a little bit out to the major known ones. I'm more of a Marvel guy. I watched this episode having no idea what happened in the previous seasons. I really didn't know. Like they gave you a recap, but I really didn't get what I missed. It was a lot of stuff, but none of that mattered. I really enjoyed this show. I thought as Tony said, the acting was spot on. I really liked the casting. I really liked the guy they got to play Black Lightning. James Remar's there. I texted you, Ed, and
how awesome is that?
I was like, wait, is James Remar like a part of this show? Do I get to see James Remar if I go back?
Mm-hmm.
There was just so much here, and I agree. You guys were talking about how it was reminiscent of like those first couple of seasons of Arrow, which I also loved, and for its groundedness. And just, I like the idea of watching a superhero do family stuff and sort of navigate that. And we kind of got that, right? Because that's the character, like this guy, and the fact that he was drinking, the fact that he's getting to a real dark place. I was so interested in everything that I'm going to go back and watch this show from season 1. I'm going to try to catch up as quickly as possible. And I'm not just saying that like I did with Batwoman. I'm actually going to follow through with it this time because I really want to get the most out of this season, and I really enjoyed what I saw, and I want to go back and catch up because I think there's so much here, and it reminded me why I really liked the CW shows when I first started watching them way back in the day when they came out.
Yeah, that's what I was telling Tony too. Is that like I caught like some early episodes of Arrow recently because TNT runs them on random times. I don't know why. I don't know what the rhyme or reason to it is. But then I was like, man, the CW verse has changed a lot over there. But I'm like, this is what I really, really loved was, all of the, the early season Arrow, the groundedness, like Jason, our guy is Batman. So we know in DC, everyone mostly is gods. But like Oliver Queen and Bruce Wayne and Black Lightning to an extent are the more grounded characters. And an interesting factoid, though, about Black Lightning in the comics is that apparently he is like really close to Bruce Wayne. Apparently,
really?
like yes, he is cool. You will find Black Lightning Batman team ups in the comics, which I would not be shocked if Jason jumps into some of that right now.
I actually am. I am going to look into that because I really like the character of Black Lightning that I saw. If he's anything like that in the comic book, and you pair him with Batman, what else do I need, really?
Pair anything with it.
You had me at Batman, to be honest with you.
Just put him in the Suicide Squad. You'll be all set.
Oh, come on, Tony! Can you say? Can you say that to Deadshot? Look at him. Look at him. He's like, I just want to be loved, Tony.
I love how he's got props. I love it.
So the one thing I thought that was a little bit weird, though, and this I can catch you guys up on this because there's no way you would have known this from jumping in here. But like, so in the episode, though, they do mention, right, like the new head of chief of police is mentioning how she wants to go ahead and like start tagging metahumans and like, having a whole profile on them. Seemed very X-Men like to me.
Agreed.
Where it was like, it was already the whole Mutant Registration Act and brought into like even the Sokovia Accords and the MCU. So a lot of, I get where that makes sense in a lot of comic book worlds. But the thing was, so you brought Black Lightning. So Black Lightning for the first 2.5 seasons was not on the same Earth as Flash and Arrow and everyone, and mostly everyone else. So with Crisis on Infinite Earths last year, that's the first time Black Lightning met everyone else. And they brought him in a badass way and everything like that. And they essentially formed their Justice League at the end of Crisis on Infinite Earths. But then that means you brought Freeland into an Earth because they combined Supergirl's Earth with Freeland from Black Lightning's Earth. Even though there was some speculation they were already on the same Earth, those two. But everyone's on Earth Prime now. Right, that was their way of cleaning it up, and they're going to call it Earth Prime. It's the whole thing. But I don't ever see Flash really dealing with metahumans. They're trying to round them up and like tag them. Like, are we going to see anything like that? I don't think they're going to attempt to. Ready for the pun? Catch the Flash and try to go ahead and do that. Or Superman existed at Earth and Supergirl is there. Like, I don't know. I think that's something we'll see if they address that, but that could be a thing where things start to get a little bit muddy since you decided to put them all on the same Earth with the big crossover, and that was pretty much the same thing. Go ahead.
The interesting thing here is that we've seen that DC has obviously done a really good job that, and this is actually, thank you, Ashif, this is actually going to run into what I'm talking about here, is that we've seen that DC has done a really good job with their TV shows. Okay, they had Arrow, Flash, Black Lightning now. They're introducing Superman and Lois. They've had the CW verse going for a while. Right. And it's been good. I mean, obviously it's gotten ratings. People have really enjoyed it. But now seeing what Marvel has done with Mandalorian, as we talked about, and WandaVision, where you're getting a TV show that is actually a movie broken up into little TV episodes, I'm wondering if DC is going to start to move in that direction and start to move away from CW verse, right? Which is Flash is going to come to an end at some point or another. Yeah. Arrow's already gone. Black Lightning is wrapping up. So I wonder if they're going to eventually go away from this and then go into a more detail-oriented, bigger budget type shows and start doing the same thing that Marvel's doing and intertwining the movies and the shows together.
Well, to touch on that, though, so twofold, and talking about the Chiefs' question here. So there were rumors out there about the CW version. It kind of looks like the writing was on the wall at some time. Like, is this going to all end soon with the emergence of HBO Max? And I know there's the Matt Reeves Batman is getting their own show that's connected with it, with the movie, and they're going to have their own universe. But a story did break, though, during the week that said that HBO Max and CW might be working on a deal together. I mean, even though they're all by the parent company, Warner Brothers, to raise the budgets of their shows, I guess, to try to bring up the production value. But the deal would be is that the show would air on HBO Max, and then 24 hours later, it would pop up on CW. So that's one thing that could be, but it's a fair point, though. It's a question, like, where is this whole thing going? Because you're ending Supergirl this year. You're ending Black Lightning also. Are those characters going to, like, die? Or are they just going to, like, end them and that's it? But you're also just launching Superman and Lois. You have Flash still going. And all those shows got renewed, by the way. That news came the week before that. So the CW announces Flash is coming back. Batwoman's coming back. Jason's excited. Legends is coming back. All their stuff. The only one they didn't opt immediately was Superman and Lois, because typically you're not going to renew the show that quickly. Until
you actually see what happens, right?
Yeah, and the budget on that show from the trailers
looks decent.
It's not the other ones.
Yeah, it's not Mandalorian, it's not WandaVision, but it's definitely improved from the early Arrow days. But I mean, honestly, you have to look at it. I guess they're looking, to up the subscriber level for HBO Max any way they possibly can, and the way to do that is to start having content like this. And they're gonna look, even though they're not gonna directly try to mimic everything that they're doing over at Disney, they have to keep up. Yeah. They have to. So at some point or another, look, you saw what Marvel did. What did they do? They took 4 very popular series and they cut them all off. Okay, they took Punisher, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and they just cut them off of Netflix. And everyone said, "Oh, they're just going to bring them onto Disney Plus." They haven't. So what they're going to do with those characters is completely up to them. But they realize that, okay, this is good for what we had then. Now we have this, and I mean, it's like night and day at this point. To be honest with you, I mean, the WandaVision is just it's a movie. It's a regular Marvel movie broken up into episodes.
Yeah, just like Mandalorian was essentially a Star Wars film broken up.
No question. No question. There's no difference between them.
Yeah, so I don't know. The future of the CW verse is a very interesting situation to see where it goes. And again, like with Crisis, they formed their Justice League at the end, but now Kate Kane is no longer Batwoman, and she was considered a member of that team. So, I don't know if they're just going to let Ryan Wilder, like, oh, you're wearing the same costume, so here, you're down with us. Come on. That's not going to happen.
They'll do a background check first.
Yeah, exactly. And they're going to find out she's on parole and be like, oh, I'm sorry, we can't. Superman was in that Justice League, even though it was weird. He was kind of like the sidekick thing, which didn't really hold up to me. But you're ending Black Lightning. or anything Supergirl. So I don't know. It's a bit fuzzy. So, and it's, of course, right on cue. Well, yes, we did. So no, the future of it is to see, but it's cool to see. We're excited about one of the CW shows. We haven't been loving Batwoman, but Jason and I have decided we're going to take it for its zany insanity and hope they run with that. Don't take themselves too seriously. And we'll be covering them. We're going to have a CW verse section since they're all rolling back. Flash is coming down, Superman and Lois. So we'll have to try to figure a way to not make this, a 9-hour show, which we probably could, and we'd all have fun with it. But whatever. My
bladder would not.
I was just going to say, with the occasional case of bathroom break, we'll be fine.
Cody's bladder would hold up, no question about it.
Well, I'm cool, bro. I'm good as long as I can walk to the refrigerator over there and get me a Diet Coke. I'm fine. Look, all set.
Sheep's got one more comment before we transition. Can never listen to Sweet Dreams without thinking of Quicksilver. It's one of the things, but there's a whole running joke I have with a friend of mine, Jerry. He tried to sing it one time. He was really wasted, and he decided on a New Year's Eve one time to try to sing it, and he's just like, "Sweet dream," like, what is it like? They want to hurt you, and then he's just like, "Why? Why do they want to hurt me?" And he looked at me, and I'm like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Even when I saw Apocalypse, I was just like, I started laughing to myself about it because I can't possibly unhear that. Whatever.
That's funny.
Something I wish we had
I've met Jerry, and I would never peg him for drunk.
And Jason knows Jerry also.
I know,
many times, so he can probably visualize this pretty good.
Jerry and I have been passed out at the same bar at least once.
Exactly.
Oh, there you go.
But you could definitely see why do they want to hurt me? It's great. But we're now moving on to our DCEU rewatch as we're getting you guys ready for Snyder Cut. Jason's hyped up about this one, man. Wow. He's definitely going to start this one off because I don't want to start off with this one. But all I'll say is this: I made a promise to myself. I know I mentioned in the last episode that I would never watch this movie again, and it's been years. But because I'm dedicated to my team here, I am a team player. I love the guy, everyone watching the show who's joining us. I am going to watch this damn thing. So I sat down Saturday morning. I'm like, there ain't shit on. This is the time to watch Suicide Squad. Screw this. Let's go. And Angie's like, are you ready? Are you really going to do this? And she's like, all right, let's go. Let's walk the dog quick and let's sit down and watch this damn thing. It is a wow. Never mind, Jason. Please start us off with your strength. Right. What did you like about Suicide Squad? Because this is one for you, man. You're the champion of this.
So, I want to share one thing. That part of what I liked about Suicide Squad was the fact that I got you guys to watch it again. I'm a jerk, Ed. You know that about me. I really enjoyed that you had to watch it with me again, and I felt vindicated because I had to watch Batman versus Superman for this show last week.
Fair.
Felt a bit vindicated. Okay. I'm going to tell you the formula that I use to enjoy this movie. All right. First, step one, ignore the plot. Plot's garbage. You don't touch the plot. You don't look at the plot. You pretend there is no plot. Right.
Okay, wait, I have to stop you right here first for 1 second. Here's something that I need. I just got to get off my chest. Mm-hmm. There is no plot. There's no plot.
You ignore it. That's it.
The plot is non-existent.
Step one is complete.
There is no vehicle to get you from the beginning of this movie to the end. It's just a whole bunch of shit. It's just in between. I just had to throw it in. Go ahead.
You have attained step one. Ignore the plot, right? There's no plot to be had. Here's what I enjoy about this movie. And I'm not saying it's a good movie. I want to be clear. This is I think I had it fourth to the bottom on my list. And I admitted freely, Man of Steel is a better movie. I just enjoyed this more than I enjoyed Man of Steel, right? Here's why I enjoy this movie. I like character work when it comes to comic book characters. And I think there's some interesting character work in this movie. I enjoy Harley Quinn. I think she's much better in Birds of Prey. Actually, her characterization in Birds of Prey made me kind of put my thought of her in this movie a bit down because I think it's so much better, but we'll get to that when we get to Birds of Prey. I think Deadshot, Will Smith as Deadshot, is so good. I love the sort of like the backdoor Batman movie we get, like with Deadshot and Batman and Harley Quinn. Like I'm soaking in the Batfleck, right? Like, so I pretend that that's part of the plot. There you go. And I think Diablo, right? Diablo, he's right here. He's saying hi guys. Hi. Sorry, I don't know. I can't. The camera's backward for me. When I go right, I mean you gotta go left. But anyway, I think Diablo actually has a great potential for a character arc in this movie, and I think it's wasted because the movie wastes a lot of great potential. And again, I'm not saying it's a good movie, but I think there are some character stuff here that really works well for me, and if I ignore everything else, I can find pleasure in this movie, which I do. Other things I like, as much as I hate Jared Leto's Joker, and I will talk about that when we get to the things we dislike about it, I respected the fact that they went a different route with the Joker. I don't think it worked.
I agree.
But, you're coming off Heath Ledger, and you can't go anarchist Joker. You have to do something different. They made a choice. I don't think it worked out, but I respect the choice. What else can I say about this movie? I actually think this movie would have been better served if they really, really had to keep the like destruction level Enchantress stuff going on, right? This movie would have been better served if the Suicide Squad's whole mission was just to go get Waller, and they never have to fight Enchantress. And as they're escaping, like the Flash or Batman or someone else they've shown who actually can deal with something of the apocalypse level comes in and deals with it. I think where this movie falls apart for a lot of people, two places. One, the Joker, because everyone, including myself, had a hard time getting behind the choices they made. But two, and Tony, you said it before, and Jader had said it when we were talking. I don't remember if it was on the air or not. But the whole thing about the Enchantress and the brother and all of this supernatural mumbo jumbo, I think if you cut that out and just make these characters sort of having fun with each other and going on this suicide mission, because they're the Suicide Squad, to go rescue Amanda Waller, and you just sort of ignore that Enchantress stuff, I think you've got something better. Also, you got to cut out Boomerang completely, ignore him, pretend he doesn't exist. I just don't think he works in this movie. I don't.
Wow. Okay.
And like if you're gonna keep Katana, like give her something. Katana. Like I think one of the problems is they try to overstuff this movie with characters. If they pared it down, and I say get rid of Boomerang because I don't think they do much with him. I think if you pare it down to Diablo, Harley Quinn, the Croc, and Deadshot, I think, and that's your Suicide Squad, and you focus the character stuff on them, I think you have a movie there. So that's my liking of this movie, is more the potential I saw in it, and the fact that it is the first movie in this line that attempts to look like a comic book, to do something that feels like a comic book. Like I think I made a point about the last two movies. They're so dark. They're kind of dreary. They kind of depress me. Well, it depresses me, but in a different way. At least there's color. Like, so I think the thing with Suicide Squad is there are choices made. There are bold choices, and some of them I think work, and most of them I think don't work. But the reason I enjoy this movie is because I enjoy the fact that they were trying something different, and I like the characters. So that's kind of my pitch for this movie.
It's funny though. So you literally stole almost a lot of things word for word out of my mouth about my strength in this movie. Obviously, my number one is Batfleck. The fact that whenever he's in the movie, I'm like, yes, thankfully. Deadshot, Harley. I like Captain Boomerang in this movie. He serves pretty much no purpose completely at all, but it's the best thing Jai Courtney's ever done that I've seen on screen. Even though he's good as the villain in Jack Reacher, though. In the first Jack Reacher, I actually keep forgetting he's in that movie, but he's pretty solid in that. But he's been the guy who like ends franchises, like Terminator Genesis. Like he shows up as a new Kyle Reese, and I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Brutal.
Yeah, it's terrible. But I like him as Captain Boomerang. I'm actually excited that he's one of the characters we're getting back in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. Boomerang, Harley, Amanda Waller So Amanda Waller was like 50-50 for me. She's a strength of mine because I think the Viola Davis does a great job with the character, but she's also not the smartest Amanda Waller I've ever seen.
That's fair.
I'll get into the weaknesses to talk about what my issues with her because, wow, she makes some crazy shit. El Diablo, I thought is exactly the same thing. Strong character, interesting backstory, but they do nothing with him. Essentially, like, so you can, I agree, Jay. Like, it's a lot of potential there, and that's kind of what pisses me off about it. That there's a thing, and I agree. Yeah, they went for more of like a fun, zany type thing. Like, well, look, we're so wild, we're so crazy, and I get that, but it was just like it came off cheesy to me. Like, and I'll talk about that more in the weaknesses. It kind of like fell apart. Tony, what are your strengths? So what do you like about Suicide Squad? Unless I'm pretty sure we probably all have the same strengths before we get into the teardown. All right. I don't want to jump in. So the weaknesses.
I've been playing that shit all week.
I honestly was there with you. I was there with you.
I was playing that shit all week. All right.
Nicely done.
All right, I'm gonna preface this by saying that I texted these two guys last night when I sat down. Okay, I'm gonna actually read you the text that I sent because it needs to be said here. So I sat down it was early. What was it? Where am I? I sent it at. Oh, I took a picture at 9:00. Right. And the picture was of the screen, just like that. Right?
Yeah.
There it was. And I said, I can't believe I'm about to do this. So I said, and to give Jason full credit, he did text me and say, thank you for your sacrifice.
I do appreciate it.
And he does. So, and I actually, at the end of it, I sent another text saying, I'm done. And Jason's like, how far did you get in?
I just assumed you shut it off.
I'm like, no, I got through that whole thing, bro. So, all right, I'll give you my strengths because there are just a few. Okay. The first 30 minutes of this movie are actually not bad. Okay. You get the backstory into Harley. You get the backstory into Amanda Waller, how she got, this information. You get the backstory into Deadshot, which, the Floyd Lawton thing, which I thought was great. The visuals, I love the fact that they pop up on the screen. The whole thing with the Harley, the throwaway line of the accomplice in the killing of Robin. So like they're just throwing that shit right out at you. That this is they don't tell you who the actual killer of Robin was, whether it was a joke or not. We kind of know that. We only find that out later, but they did say that they put that in there for her. They give you the backstory into everybody. Short synopsis kind of gives you a window into the character. And I thought that was really well done. When I was in the theater and I saw that, I was like, wow, this is great. This is really, really, really great. And then there's that scene where they're in they're at the Pentagon, I believe, and they introduce you to Enchantress. And that whole thing with the fucking hand turns over, and I'm like, God damn, like that's cool. I like that. At the moment that this movie went off the rails, and I mean completely off the rails, I stopped it because I had to say, I'm like, well, how long does it take before this movie becomes complete shit? And it's the 30-minute mark. It's literally the 30-minute mark. Okay, because I stopped it. I'm like, what? 30 minutes and 12 seconds? Okay, this is where the movie goes to shit. And it does very quickly. I will tell you that I think that Margot Robbie is fantastic as Harley Quinn. There's no question. She is the complete embodiment of the Harley Quinn character. She plays it deep. She is she plays the part as, mentally she plays the part, physically she plays the part, right? I mean, swinging that bat around, the gun, just the whole nonchalantness of, the nonsense that comes out of her mouth, the crazy's written all over her. Like she does it, that plays the part really well. Will Smith is Floyd Lawton. I really wish we were getting this guy back. I really do. It's the only thing that I really wish that we were getting back, because he was great. He was. The scenes with Affleck, the scenes with Batman. Oh God, do I want a Batman movie with Ben Affleck? I don't even want to tell you the things I would give up in order to have a Batman movie with Ben Affleck. It's just, I literally just want to go back and watch the scenes again where he's chasing him in the car, and he's the scene where he apprehends, Deadshot. It's great. It's so great. I love it. I feel bad for Joel Kinnaman because Rick Flag is a good character, and they give him the absolute worst fucking lines to say in this movie. I mean, I'll blow your fucking head off, right? It's just, how many times could you possibly use the same line? I'll blow your head off. Like, we get the point, bro. You could literally blow the head off. Like,
you're jumping the ship to the weaknesses, man. We're still on strike.
I know. I was just giving my sympathy because Kinnaman's he's not bad, but considering the material he was given, oh my God. So I have to disagree with you, Jason. I think Captain Boomerang is the best comic relief that this movie could have. Bro, that's all he does, bro. He just make jokes. The things he does, he walks away, he's opening up a beer in the middle of a gunfight. I'm like, this guy's great. Like, I hate Jai Courtney, and this guy's fantastic. I can't get enough of him. And that fucking pink unicorn he's hanging around with, like, I'm like, this is perfect. This is great. So I like Captain Boomerang. The Diablo thing, they give Diablo the best backstory. They give you the most backstory into a guy they fucking kill in the movie. Like, why? I want more of this guy. I want more. I want more of that big dude that came out. I was like, I wanted more of that. No, can't have that. You like somebody? He's gone. So that's about the extent of what I liked about what I saw last night.
By the way,
I have much more on the dislikes, if you're wondering.
We're going. We're going there.
And I'm stretching here, bro. I'm stretching in order to get what I got here. So, but that's where I'm at.
So essentially, well, by the way, so Boss Man Farachi's on fire with this whole thing. He was more excited going into the critics screening than he was for Guardians of the Galaxy, and complete opposite.
Well, if you saw the trailer, I can understand why, because the trailer was one of the top 5 trailers, I think, of all time.
I was just super excited for it, and that also ties into one of the main issues with the film was the fact that one of the heads of Warner Brothers at the time released the trailer, and they went to David Ayer. They saw his film that he turned in, and they're like, nah, it doesn't match the trailer. We're going to get the trailer company to edit your movie to fit the trailer. That's pretty much how filmmaking works, probably in the Bizarro world, because that is just bonkers.
If you remember, Rocky IV was considered, when it came out, they said that it was like a hour and 45-minute music video. I mean, because it seems like every other scene was set to music, right? Yeah. I do too. I'll forget it. That that scene where he's running up the mountain. On fire. I got look, my hair's standing up just talking about it. I love that scene. Like that the soundtrack in that movie is great. And the soundtrack in this movie, that's the other thing I like. I have to say, I'm sorry. Soundtrack to this movie is fantastic.
I agree. I own it. It's a great soundtrack.
I do too. It is a very, very good soundtrack. It has to be, because it's in every goddamn scene. There's another song. Okay. And I just like, it really is like every scene is like, oh, we got this song here. Oh, we got this song. It's just a music video, one after the other. And the most egregious one, which is kind of cool.
All right. I want to see if it's the same one. Go ahead.
It's definitely the same one. It's when Harley's in the elevator with "Come Baby, Come On." Right? When I heard that, I was like, first of all, this song is my jam. I love this song. And then she's just blowing the shit out of people in the elevator. I'm like, where did he come up with this?
All right, so that's one thing that I originally was like. I remember when I first saw this and stuff. I'm like, man, the soundtrack is cool. I love all the music choices. because I like the songs. But it just felt like it was like I think Jada had mentioned that he coined it perfectly. Was that it was like you were watching MTV. It's almost like the music was trying so hard to be like, look how wild and weird and crazy we are. And it's true. Like this was almost like what DC was trying to make their Guardians of the Galaxy. Which meanwhile, the music, there's a bunch of music, but their music makes sense. Yours really doesn't.
And this is the thing. If you go back and so go back to the Hans Zimmer, the two Hans Zimmer movies, right? So you go to, I mean, he did The Dark Knight and Batman Begins, which were phenomenal. But then he did Man of Steel and he did Batman vs Superman. Okay, and the score is integrated into the entire movie. It's part of the movie. It's not as good a movie without it. Because it's such a big part of them. It's almost a character in the movie is the score and the soundtrack. The same thing as Guardians of the Galaxy. James Gunn did such a great job putting those late 70s and 80s songs into that movie. I mean, bro, there's songs that I haven't listened to. I hadn't listened to in 25 years. Now all of a sudden I'm a boom shot. I was like, well, this movie's great. That whole opening scene where he's dancing around and you know he did it and part of the movie, and it wasn't like you were forcing it. It was like it was another character within the film, right? This movie is not that. This movie sucks, so let me just throw some catchy music in to like every other scene, and now people will like it, which they completely missed on that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna listen. I just feel like I need to do it. I'm gonna kick off our weaknesses segment. Jason, then you can take from. I feel like Tony. I feel like Tony got some of his, but I have a feeling we should.
No, I didn't even scratch the surface, brother.
But I will say that our strengths were essentially very similar. For Jason, who enjoys watching the movie, he's popped it on multiple times where he's like, "Listen, I like this. I'm just going to watch it." Me and you avoid it like it's coronavirus essentially, and then it's just like that's just what it is. But. So Amanda Waller is a strength for me because Viola Davis is a good actress and she plays the part well, but she's a complete idiot in this movie. She it kind of reminds me of like the OCP in RoboCop 2. Like they were like, hey, let's get a drug dealer and put him in his brain into a robot and he'll fight crime for us. For those who've seen RoboCop 2. But then, and I get that's the premise of the Suicide Squad. I understand that. But she's harping on a team of metahumans. There are 2 metahumans, and I'm pushing that. On this team of metahumans. Not a good job at building a team of metahumans. I'm sorry. That's probably like the worst job of building a team of metahumans in the history of building teams of metahumans. And I know she says, oh, if someone like Superman comes down, what if he's not so friendly and wants to go ahead and do whatever? This team would get their asses handed to them by Superman with his eyes closed, hands tied behind his back, and just like taking a nap.
Well, maybe Boomerang can hit him with the boomerang, and that will like knock him.
Or Harley's can hit him with a bat or a mallet, whatever.
Let's be clear: they have all gotten their asses handed to them by Batman at some point or another. Yes. Forget Superman,
right? And they're all in jail because of him.
Exactly. Well, we have most of
forget Superman,
except for ironically Captain Boomerang.
Right. Which they kind of
Which I love the fact that Flash goes back to the line and said, Justice League, I just push people and run away. That's exactly what he did with Boomerang.
Exactly. That's actually that is continuity that does make sense. Finally.
The only thing in the DC that's connected in between the movies is that line.
Oh, and I'm gonna save it for a second, but I got a tidbit that was going to connect this movie to the rest of it immensely, and they chose not to do it. But I'm gonna save that for a second. In the mid-credit scene, right, Bruce Wayne shows, and he's obviously any moment he's in the film, I'm like ecstatic about it. But she tells him and he tells Amanda, shut it down, let us handle it. Exactly. The Suicide Squad is way out of their element trying to stop some supernatural fiasco going on. And he's already putting together the Justice League at that point. And it's also found it's interesting that apparently Amanda Waller and Argus have more detailed files on these people than Bruce got from Lex that was doing the whole metahuman thing for apparently years, it looked like. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Lex had the logos, so it was, he had the logos, and then they actually had the intel.
Yeah, so exactly. So you had to spread the wealth maybe. Argus didn't have their logo guy.
Share your info.
Shop that time.
Yeah, no, you share your info.
So, but also Waller tells Bruce to shut down not to work at nights, not to shut down Batman. Yo, if he wasn't Batman, you would have never got Deadshot, and you never would have got Harley. So, and Killer Croc, I know he was chased out of town by Batman and came back with some weird shit that they said, but whatever. The other thing is though, so she tipped him off to take down both Deadshot and Harley. So probably not the best idea to say shut it down. All right, it's it's just idiotic when you think about it.
She doesn't say shut it down. She says you should stop working nights.
Yeah, which essentially mean no, I know that, but essentially mean
I think that was more. Yeah, but I took it as more of a nod that I know what you're doing at night. Yeah. That's what I took it as, because she said you look tired, and she said, and he something I don't remember what he said, but she says to him, you should stop working nights. So to me, that was a nod of as I know who you are. Yeah. Right. So
I read it
more
the
than
same way.
Else. Yeah, I mean, it was just and obviously, look, if they're sitting across from each other, and she said at the beginning of the movie, I just dropped the dime to the right guy. Yeah. So, okay, so obviously, if she's sitting at the table, and you already knew that he apprehended those, that she knows who he is, right?
Yeah, but
that was just kind of the.
I took it as a way Bruce knew already, because obviously he knows what's in the files that he's getting handed right now.
Of course.
So whatever. That's why I took it the way that I took it. By the way, so when the squad is, when they're going ahead and they're suiting up and everything like that, they're getting ready to go. How in the hell did they get all their stuff back, by the way? Because Deadshot gets apprehended when he's in regular clothing with his daughter. He didn't have his whole Deadshot get up with him and his guns and all this other crap. Harley was apprehended in the Joker's car underwater. Was not wearing that at all, or her mallet or her bat, unless it was all in the trunk of the Joker's car, and she was living out of it. And that's the whole thing. Or or maybe Waller, after they were arrested, was like, man, I'm going to put together the Suicide Squad. Let's go to their houses and get all their shit so they're ready when they get out. No, because maybe I can buy that with Deadshot, but the Joker was probably living with Harley at the time. So you're trying to tell me someone went and got Harley's shit? Was like, sorry, Joker, we're not going to interrupt you, but can we just get Harley's stuff so we can, we got something for her to do? No. That's something I just thought was, again, maybe it's nitpicking, maybe call it what you will. I thought that was another thing that was extremely stupid, by the way. Killer Croc was wasted, in my opinion. He's just there to be there. And Katana was extremely pointless, by the way. She just strolls up while they're getting on the helicopter, by the way. And then we don't get any reason of who is she with Argus? Is she not with Argus? Why is she there? But we do know
How did she get there?
How did she get there? No, she just strolls in and is like, oh, you guys are going to go do some mission. There's a helicopter. Let me go check this out. But I got Rick Flagg's back. We make sure that that's hammered home really clearly, because Rick Flag is the next one who starts off as kind of like a cool character, but then he's master of spitting out exposition. That's literally every line of him giving you the play-by-play of what the hell's going on in the movie. And I'm like, this is what am I watching?
He's the unofficial narrator of the film.
So whatever. I already mentioned the score as, again, it just seems like it's way too much. It jumps around and stuff. Then there's the hot topic, Joker and Harley Quinn and Common's character. What the hell that was?
I have so much to say.
So Jason, I agree with you though that I'm fully on board with you. But listen, I credit them a lot because following Nicholson, following Ledger, you had to, if you're going to go with Joker, you had to give a whole new take on him. You had to do something different. So I get it. I understand why it's there. It just didn't work for me at all. And it's not because of Jared Leto at all, because Jared Leto is extremely talented. He's really good, and I actually like him a lot. But no, just the take just doesn't, it falls flat for me completely. And he's also pointless. He's literally pointless to the plot of this movie, to the plot. And I know, Jason, we make sure there is no plot. But literally, outside of Harley's flashbacks, he serves absolutely no purpose in this entire film. And his plan, too, is okay, I'm going to wait for the right precise time. I'm going to break out this doctor. I'm going to do all this stuff to get Harley out and wait for that right moment. And he does a good job of that. At the end, he just walks into the prison and just breaks her out. No problem. You could have just led with that. Just be I'm just going to walk in and break out my girlfriend, whatever the hell I damn well please, and that's it. And the only thing that led to was giving us a reason of why Harley is not in prison in Birds of Prey. But we'll get to that issue that thread that just seemed a little bit bizarre once we get to Birds of Prey, because I kind of would think that some people were probably looking for someone who was broken out of prison. But that's a whole other story. Enchantress, absurd. Completely absurd. She looked like one of the used car sales things that, like, the things that flap in the wind that gyrate all over the place. Yeah, exactly. Like, that was her whole thing. And she's obsessed with building a machine, a weapon, the whole movie. Very vague. She's talking with her brother about it. That was going to destroy all the machines, and that's why she needed Waller to help her find out where all the machines were, because people don't worship them anymore. They worship the machines. Yeah. Okay. Now, as messy as this crap is, and as terrible as the CGI is, by the way, so this is where it is. So apparently I'd found out that David Ayer says that Enchantress was originally supposed to be building a boom tube, not just a random machine, not a hole in the sky. And she was also under control of a mother box at the time. That was the original plot point in the story for Suicide Squad. So she's under the influence of a mother box. She's building a boom tube. Obviously, for Darkseid, what was going on here? So if Darkseid would have been controlling another main villain that we got in the DCU, as it's alluded to, we were controlling Lex, but they never just fully commit to it. And they were like, nah, late in production. They're like, nah, she's not going to do that. Because that would have connected everything, and we don't need that. Why would you want all this? That really pissed me off. I got mad at this movie all over again after reading that crap. And I actually did not know that for years. But that was the original intent of this crap. And by the way, she also kisses one of the soldiers in the scenes to turn him into like a gooey guy. So
apparently she did that for everybody?
Yes, thank you. So it was just like a make-out fest with everyone. Like, yo, here, let's do this.
Line them up. Let's get them all. We'll kiss them all, and we'll make them. It's the fucking. God, I'm sorry. God, I want to jump. Like,
so that is all my shitting on Suicide Squad that I'm going to do. And before I turn it over, Tim's comment from earlier, I would watch Suicide Squad every day for 5 straight years. I know he said this on his review on the Jada and Kyle show. Before I watch a single frame of WW84 again, Suicide Squad is better than WW84. I can speak for myself and say absolutely not. I don't even like Wonder Woman 84, but I can tell you that both in the same month, I would rather watch Gal Gadot like spit out stupid dialogue and do all of that than watch whatever the hell was going on in Suicide Squad. Jason, what are your issues with it? Were they different? Were they the same? Like, what do you got?
Well, first I want to say, Tim, I'm with you. I will never watch Wonder Woman 1984 again. I've done my time. I've watched it once. It is probably the only one of these movies that I don't foresee myself going to again unless I have to. So I'm with you on that one.
I had that thought too.
See? There you go. Oh, yeah, you had that thought about this movie. Luckily, we got Wonder Woman 84 out of the way. That was the first and last time I got to see it. Here are my issues with this movie, and they're big issues, right? The plot is terrible. We're beating a dead horse here. Why are you sending the whole point of we're gonna get these guys together to go and take on the next Superman? No, you're not. What are you gonna do? You want to distract the next Superman for 15th of a second? Because that's all they're going to do. That's all they're going to accomplish. Even Deadshot, who's awesome, who could, shoot the wings off a fly at 1,000 paces, would do nothing to someone like Superman. Like, imagine if Zod lowered into this movie and went, all right, what do you want to do? They're dead. That's it. There's nothing. So the plot is stupid. The Enchantress is stupid. I don't know if it would make it better for me or not, based on what you had said, because at least then there would be the world building. But I still think the Enchantress is stupid. Why go with such a big, broad stroke supernatural villain? Like, go for someone who's a street level villain. If you really want to tie in the mother box thing, Lex isn't a huge creature of godlike powers. You could have just gone like another Lex Luthor type who's being manipulated. So even with that, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Jason, one question though. I wanted to see what you think of this, and I feel like you're going to agree. Don't you think it would have been better if they would have because in the comics, the Suicide Squad usually goes after like more grounded villains because they're not idiots and they're like, hey, we're going to send them out. wouldn't have been better? And from the trailers, we're like, hey, how about we send the Joker is really out of control. Bruce Wayne is like way too. Let's say Batman's too occupied with the Justice League or whatever the hell you want to say, and we need the Suicide Squad to take down the Joker.
From the trailer, that's what I thought we were getting, and that's what I was excited for.
Yes, agreed. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And yes, the Joker should have been the villain of this movie. Why wouldn't it be? I mean, if you want the Joker's, because I agree with you, Ed, the Joker has no place in this movie outside of flashbacks, and even then, it's just to sort of give context to her character. The Joker has no place in the narrative of this movie, and if you want him so badly in this movie, then that's the way you do it. He's the villain. He's gone nuts. That sets up a great conflict with Harley, right? Because the whole thing they're trying to push unsuccessfully in this movie is that they have found a kinship and a family within each other. And there's that moment at the bar, a completely undeserved, unearned moment where they all decide to do the right thing. And then Boomerang, of course, just comes back for inexplicable reasons because he left the bar and ran, and then he comes back with the beer. Apparently, he just here because there wasn't enough at the bar for him. But like, if that's what you want, right? And then they're pushing the whole Harley and Deadshot friendship, and then you don't turn your back on your comrades. If that's then you make the Joker the main villain, and you give Harley that conflict, and you actually make it mean something when she decides to come back, as opposed to I fell off this plane, or actually I know in some cuts the Joker pushes her. I know that was part of like the original plan, like was the Joker pushes her out for whatever reason, and then she just shows up. It's like that's my biggest problem with this movie is people do things for no reason. And we just have to accept it because it's a movie. And that's an issue. My biggest problem outside of all of that, because I could probably look past all of that because, like, honestly, I've seen video games with similar plots. I'm a big gamer. It's a video game plot. You said, how did they get their treasures back? They leveled up, man. It's a video game. They found the stash. They get their equipment. They go, who cares, right? But my biggest thing with this movie is the Joker. I don't know if I have no love for Jared Leto. I liked him in Fight Club, right? He was in Fight Club. I've liked him in things I've seen. I've no real feelings with him one way or the other, but I hated this version of the Joker. I hated it. I don't think any of it worked. And again, I said that one of my pluses was I liked the fact that they were trying something different. And one of my negatives was how astronomically it failed, like in so many ways. And just shoehorning him in, this incarnation, Joker that no one really is on board with, shoehorning him into this movie was like the biggest mistake they could have made. I probably could have overlooked a lot more with this movie if it wasn't for that, but I'm a Batman guy, so that's my thing. That's what I focus on. You know, and then I didn't really like the ending, as you said. Like, he just busts in, and like I'm also not a big fan of endings where it's like, wait for the sequel, you know, and that's what that was. Like, hey, you're ready for the next one? Like, no, just give me an ending to this goddamn movie I just sat through. That's what I'm ready for. So, you know, so those are it's really narrative structure, plot, and choices, right? Those are my big issues with this movie. But I ignore all of that.
Which is fine. I mean, a lot of us do that. Sometimes you're just like, screw it. I mean, you know, you could. So we're pretty much on the same page. Like, as a film, right? Stepping out of the comic book stuff, as a film, you're like, what the hell am I looking at right now?
If I were evaluating this as a film and not looking at the fact that I love Will Smith and I really like the character of Deadshot, I'm a huge Harley Quinn fan. I watched the animated series back when I was younger, as I believe you did, Tony. I'm sure you've seen this show when it was on. I loved Harley Quinn there. I was excited to see Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. So, but if you divorce yourself from all of my baggage attached to these characters and then no, as a movie, this is garbage. This is absolutely garbage because the narrative, there is really no consistent narrative structure. And a good deal of it is, like, I think Jada was right when he said it was like watching MTV. It's just, but I like, sometimes I like the videos on MTV. So like, sometimes, and I kind of like this song. Yeah. Right, exactly. So, but yeah, as a movie, if I'm devoid of the comic book stuff, no, this fails on so many levels.
Yeah, and we're breaking them down every week about like from a film perspective and everything, but screw it. Sometimes the comic book thing, you kind of like it, you run with it, and you're like, whatever the hell, I had fun. And that's what the biggest thing is for, right? We all go to the theater, we watch these movies for fun. We're not expecting The Godfather every single time. Like, we're just trying to see what's there. But sometimes it's hard to overlook some of this.
Right. And I'll tell you this quick story before we give it over to Tony. So my wife Regina, who does not like comic book stuff, she usually humors me on certain ones. Sometimes she's surprised. We saw the Joker, right, with a Joaquin Phoenix. She was expecting. I saw her get her coat up, getting ready to sleep in the theater as I was getting into it. But she got super into it. She loved it. So I said to her, I was like, babe, I'm going to be watching Suicide Squad. I said, if you want to join me on any of these comic book movies, if there are any ones you're interested in, you can join me. You want to watch Suicide Squad? And she went, didn't I see that piece of garbage in the theater with you and didn't I hate it? And I went, yes, you did. Touche, I'll watch it alone.
That's fine. So,
but that's why I know that I'm in the minority here. But Tony, unleash, baby. Give it to us.
Go with it.
All right. First thing I want to say is that if there's any children that are watching this show, they should immediately earmuff it because I ain't going to be able to control myself when we talk about this movie. All right. So we already talked about the things that, yes. Like, as admittedly so, she is a beauty to watch, both inside and out on the show, on this movie. Okay. So that being said, let's talk about some of the things that absolutely just drive me crazy with this film. First, that scene where I talked about before, where they're in the Pentagon and they're in front of the Joint Chiefs, that's what they're trying to sell this idea on. Yeah. Okay. Now, David Harbour, who I love, David Harbour.
Sorry, by the way,
completely. But David Harbour says, what if Superman decided to go into the White House and grab the president? Who would stop him?
Not these guys.
Not the Suicide Squad for sure.
Okay. All right. So that's the statement that he makes, which is a wonderful statement if you actually have some shit to back it up. Okay. But you're going to tell me that a jewel thief that throws a fucking boomerang around, right, is going to be part of the plan that's going to stop the next Superman from not kidnapping and killing the president of the United States?
Or a crazy chick with a mallet or a baseball bat?
No.
A lunatic, no less.
There are only two members of the Suicide Squad that actually would stand to last a minute, and one of them's the Enchantress, who becomes the villain. So let's think about that.
So then you got versus Superman.
I'm glad you brought that up because I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that now. So then they show you. She goes through everybody, so on and so forth, Croc and this and that or whatever, and then they show you Enchantress, which, again, I was totally into that. The fucking hand comes out, it flips over, and now she's all of a sudden. And then Amanda Waller's like, go get it, honey. And then she just comes back, and she's got the nuclear cookbook from Iran, right? Now, let me ask you something. The only thing that she's thinking is going to keep her under her control is the fact that she's got that little heart in the box. How long did she think it was going to take that witch that she got no control over was going to go steal the box, get the heart back, and then go away? How long did she think that was going to take?
Not the smartest Amanda Waller.
No.
Not the smartest writing.
No.
Okay, we all know that that Warner Brothers gave David Ayers about 6 weeks to write this script, right?
Yes, we did not mention that before, with behind the scenes
which
stuff.
Which is like a third of the time they should have been able to give him to write it. And then not only that, apparently he came up with some decent things that they decided, we don't like that. We know better, we know more about this than you do, so we're just gonna cut all that out. So that's where the movie starts to go down. Then the brother shows up, right? The brother shows up from apparently a wooden fucking thing on the wall. The brother's been sitting in there for like 4,000 years. She tells him that we worship machines now. I don't worship no machine. You worship a machine, Ed?
No.
Jason, you worship a machine?
No, not at all.
I don't know what the fuck she's talking about, but okay, so on and so forth. She puts him into that guy in the bathroom or the train station, which I can't remember what I know him from, but he's actually an actor I've seen before. I think he actually was on an episode of The Sopranos, if I'm not mistaken. I think he played a doctor on the episode of The Sopranos, but he's a good actor.
So Tim might remember. He might comment, and he's a big Sopranos.
Me and Tim got to have some conversations. I love that show. So, but all kind of crazy shit happens in the thing. The guy passes out. Then all of a sudden, people go and fly. Okay, whatever. All right, that's how you're going to introduce the brother. She disappears. She goes. Then Flag is like, sure, let her go. Yeah, what bad thing could happen at that point? Then she's stabbing her heart. There's lights coming out of her chest. I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? Okay, again. Just if I'm telling this story as if you've never seen this movie before, you're gonna be looking at me like you're just making this shit up as you go, right? I couldn't make this shit up if I tried. Okay, there's no way.
So the problem is, me or Jason would listen to this and then be like, "Yo, I have to watch that movie."
Yeah. So the way you're explaining it, I kind of want to watch it again.
Well, be my guest, brother. Be my guest. So. Okay, so now we get into the team up. We got them all together. Diablo's like, no, man, no mas, I'm out. I'm not doing this, right? They're all, we're going to take care of Flag. Oh, if he dies, we die. Oh, really? Waller's going to kill all of you because the aliens or the rock face people, which is the worst. Look, I understand if you're going to be if it's a comic book movie and you're going to be killing beings or whatever, make them completely nothing. And that's exactly what they did. It was literally a no-faced rock person.
Yes. They were like bubbly goo.
Bubbly at first, and then they just, I guess, hardened as they went out and actually started fighting. So,
yeah, I don't know.
Whatever. The scene where Deadshot goes crazy, starts to be shooting things and whatnot or whatever. And also, let me just go back just for during the 30 minutes of good when they actually let him go, okay? Floyd Lawton, under no circumstances, would not have just turned around and shot that guard in the head. Okay? I don't care. He's in jail for the rest of his life. He's turning around and shooting that guard in the head before he starts doing anything else.
Well, all right, hold on. I can say maybe again, they did hammer home the motivation for his daughter. So he would have been like, maybe for the good of my daughter, I don't do this. I can kind of dispute that part.
He also thinks that they're there to give him a deal, and he wants to get something out of that deal. He doesn't know what they're going to do to him. So that's kind of how I read that, to be honest.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Which is fine. It's a very small detail.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't make the movie any better.
No, it doesn't. Not at all.
No. Okay. Then the dialogue that they gave to Rick Flag, I felt terrible for Joel Kinnaman for. It's terrible. It's terrible. She cracks the fucking window open, right, to steal the pocketbook, right? What is wrong with you people? What? At that point where she broke the window and took the pocketbook, you're starting to wonder what's wrong with these people? Are you crazy?
It's the Joker's girlfriend. He knows this.
All the shit that they've done, you've got their jacket, you know exactly all the shit that they've done, and her breaking the window at Bloomingdale's is that there's something wrong with them?
Oh, boy.
What the fuck?
That's a good point.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So now let's just fast forward. The scene in the bar, right, where they're having that conversation, the whole, finding out Diablo's backstory, so on and so forth. I actually like that part.
Yep.
Okay. Kind of gives them a little bit of character development, which you gave the first 30 minutes, and then you just decided to take an hour off of telling any story and just wanted to do visual shit and music video, right? And now you're back into character development. When you actually try to do character development in this movie, it works, but it's so far, so few and far in between scenes. It's impossible to make it coherent because you just spend no time doing it. So when they actually put them in the bar and they're talking, and you hear Harley talk, you even heard Croc talk in the background. I'm beautiful.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, you are. Like it was great. It was cool. It was dialogue between them, and then Flag comes in and he hands them the letters. It says, "Your daughter writes you every day." Right? It was that shit was like, I'm like, wow, look You actually put something in this movie that makes sense.
But does it though? Rick Flag was walking around with those letters the entire time. He
Absolutely.
really?
Oh, yeah.
That
I
was
think
his
so.
card, bro.
Yeah,
That
his leverage.
Sorry, I didn't buy that.
was
I
his-
didn't buy that.
No, man, that was his leverage. That was his I need you.
I get it, but I don't know, man.
That's what I took from it, at least. That's his trump card.
No,
But
and that's fair. I mean,
he had that in his pocket, and he throws it on the table, and he was, and Will Smith's obviously he phenomenal actor that he is.
Yeah.
Saw the look on his face like, my daughter's going to know I'm no piece of shit. But I'm going to get back to that part at the very end because I want to. There's something that didn't happen that should have.
Yeah.
So now you get into the scene where they go into the train station. Okay. This is the worst scene in any comic book movie in the history of comic book movies. Okay?
Worse than the Fantastic Four fighting a cloud named Galactus.
Yes.
That's a bold statement, my friend.
You have, okay, the only reason, I am fully convinced the only reason why you had her in the form that she was is because you wanted Cara Delevingne to be there in a bikini, gyrating around, okay? Because look, they try to sell the adult part of this whole thing, okay? You have Harley with her ass hanging out the back. That's her outfit the entire movie. Now you have you got Cara Delevingne, you saw it with Enchantress before when she was just fucked up Enchantress, and then now when she's circle of garbage around the train station Enchantress. But so it's fucking terrible, bro. She ain't doing nothing. She's just there. She's just like, oh, like this. I'm like, what the fuck is she doing? Like, you're this all-powerful being that's got this garbage suspended in the air outside of the the train station, and you're just doing like a dance. And I just okay, all right. So the fight between Diablo and the brother. Okay, I think they could have did a little bit more with that. I thought it was cool that he turned into that big dude. I'm like, I want more of that guy. Like, where is he? But no, of course not. We have to have, that's got to end right there. The whole croc in the sewer. I don't know if that was if that was inserted in the movie and in the director's cut, because I don't remember that shit at all from the original. So I don't know if I passed out during that, or if I was bored to sleep, or maybe my mind just blocked that shit out, or whatever it was. But I don't remember that at all from the theatrical version. So whatever. Scott Eastwood, poor Scott Eastwood, he should have had a bigger role in this movie. He's kind of a throwaway again, wasted. But then you get to the scene where she's kicking their ass, right? Which you have to see that's going to happen because she's got the circle of garbage. So right away, she's more powerful than everybody in that room. And then just happens to have that katana blade on the floor. And Harley Quinn she just talked her to death and just said, I'll join you. And she just kneels and just pick it up and really?
Yeah.
Like, that's the way this witch that has survived for thousands of years is destroyed because she was duped by a lunatic.
It's a magic sword, though. Remember that, the sword has the soul.
Magic sword. She just put her hand right out of there like that. Like, okay, fine, okay. They crush the thing, whatever. She's gone. The whole thing is then comes full circle because there comes Amanda Waller around the corner with the magic phone where she could just use the blow your ass up app that she's got on her phone, and she's just got it in her hand ready to go. Like, I'm gonna blow you up again. I'm gonna blow you up. I'm like, give me a fucking break. Like, come on. Right? She was just hanging from a tree 5 minutes ago. Now all of a sudden she's back with the magic app that she's going to blow everybody up.
By the way, I'm sorry to interject. Deadshot, phenomenal line, by the way, because I think he was speaking for all of us when he was like, "How the hell are you alive?"
Yeah, right. Exactly. Agreed.
I was like, man, we are Deadshot.
This is my thing. This bitch is killing everybody throughout this film, and she lets her live of all people.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Crotch is right, by the way. Circle of garbage, which is now the new coin phrase, is greater than Infinity War.
But okay. So that being said, the plot is as Jason said, the plot in this movie is shit. It does not exist. Okay, there is no plot. There was no plot. The movie was just to introduce these characters, make you quote unquote fall in love with them, and you could have pulled that off if you had even a partly coherent story to put them in. Anything. But here's the killer. The worst part about this movie is the Joker. He's the worst part of this whole film. I'm at the point where, look, I love the Joker, okay? I loved Heath Ledger. I loved Jack Nicholson. Fuck, I loved Cesar Romero as the Joker, okay? I fucking hate this Joker. Okay, I can't stand him. I don't like anything about him. I don't like the way he looks. I don't like the way he talks. I don't like the way he's not even intimidating. He's just there, and he just keeps popping up. He just keeps showing up. Every time he shows up, I'm like, oh, here he is again. Oh my God, what is he doing now? I don't even care at this point. I'm rooting for the fact that he dies. Like, who wants the Joker to die in any film? He's supposed to be going round and round forever with Batman.
Yeah.
I could care less if this guy is taken out in the middle of the I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck? So that is the worst part. And it's not Jared Leto's fault. Okay. But I honestly believe, and this came out after the film, that they filmed a lot with him. Right. And they cut a tremendous amount of him out of the movie. I have a feeling that when they started going through the scenes and they started seeing, they're like, yeah, we don't like this. So let's just cut him out of here, cut him out of here, cut him out of here. We'll just have him continually pop up as the story goes on. And then we'll keep it that way. But I think that they saw it and they were like, this sucks. We need to get rid of this. Not that the rest of the movie doesn't suck, but that part of it specifically definitely sucks. So I'm really honestly not one to shit on things. I really not. I am really a glass half full kind of a guy. Okay. If I could sit through Wonder Woman 84 and come up with all the things about it that I could kind of understand. And then, but this is just awful. This is literally awful. So I'm trying. I know you enjoyed it, Jason. I do. I really dug the first 30 minutes. After that, I look forward to the fact that I will never have to watch this movie ever again, because there is nothing that I could ever need to know about it any more than I already do.
So
I wanted to point out that literally our opinion is the same. Like, we have the same likes and dislikes. It's just the things that I like kind of push it over the edge more, and the things that you guys don't like push it over the edge more in the opposite way. But I think we have the same opinion of the the beat for beat moments of this movie.
Yeah.
Well, you have to, because they're literally, the things that are good, and the things that aren't are just fucking terrible. Right. So there's really no way around it. In my opinion, at least, there's just no way around it.
But again, though, what Jason was saying, though, is that me and you both despise this movie with every fiber of our being. Yes. But then but we also, analyzing it and breaking it down, though, we all see it literally exactly the same way. But for Jason, he's willing to overlook the flaws and say, hey, I'm down with this. It's fun. I enjoy it. I can turn the brain off and just be like, have some silly fun with this. And we're both like, it's overwhelming. We acknowledge the same high points, but we just can't get past them.
Yeah, and this is the thing that I think bothers me the most about it, is that it's a complete it's not. I'm not going to say it's a complete failure. That's not really what I'm going for here. It's such a missed opportunity. Okay, they had such a great cast. You have a good director. David Ayers is a good director. Okay, he's I'm sure his original ideas, which Warner Brother, which would run by a bunch of monkeys at that point, I think, are just that shot down whatever ideas he had. But they never really trusted Zack Snyder. So anything that he was on board with, they had no interest in doing. Okay. So they undercut him every single step of the way. And I feel like this was the ultimate fuck you to him, was that, you know what, we don't like the guy, we don't like his idea, and we're just going to change it as we go along. And they did, and they shot themselves in the foot. So I'm glad that they are finally rectifying these things. The Suicide Squad, which is coming out, looks like it's a coherent movie. They gave it to James Gunn, which I'm sure he is going to do a fantastic job with it, because that's just what he does. And
he also said you do not need to see this film to like the Suicide Squad.
It is a complete reboot.
Yep.
It is a complete 100% reboot. So they are basically operating under the fact that this movie never really existed.
Well, I mean, the fact I still think that I would personally use more of a soft reboot, because you are still taking Waller, you are taking, Flag.
Right.
Yeah, but they're basically saying that other thing didn't exist. This is the news. This is the Suicide Squad. This is it. So now this is what you're gonna get. And I love the characters that they kept on. I said it earlier. I wish that Deadshot would have been able to be brought into the new one. I believe just for scheduling purposes, they weren't able to bring him back. So I'm hoping at some point they can bring him back. But I like the characters they chose. I am very, very excited to see John Cena as Peacemaker. I mean, that's just his description of the character just makes it perfect. If Captain America would be an asshole, Peacemaker is, and I'm like, wow, that's a really great description of.
And he's also getting his own spin-off HBO Max show.
Yes, which I'm happy about. I like John Cena, so I'm very interested to see how they do this. How they just basically dance around, all the events of this. If they just completely ignore it, or if they make subtle references to it, or whatever the case may be. But they realize their mistake, and it takes a lot for they could have just shelved the whole Suicide Squad thing, taken the characters that they liked, which is essentially what they've done in Batman vs Superman and Justice League, and taken Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Flash, and forgotten about certain aspects of what has happened, and then just move them forward. And that's what they did. So that's what you could have did with Suicide Squad, but they decided, let's give this another chance with somebody who actually knows what they're doing.
Well, one thing that I think that the news did drop earlier today, though, that I think we can briefly touch on, though, before Jason, we'll get back to you in a second, but it's that they released Zack Snyder's been teasing the Snyder Cut little by little. It seems like day by day, because we're actually getting a real full trailer on Sunday. For it.
Yep.
Okay. So each day Snyder's dropping a little piece on his social media, and today we got pictures of his Joker, because he brought Jared Leto back to do a scene for the Joker, because and in the article he states
having in the original film, he shot it because he wanted to shoot it.
Yeah, he says in the article, in the Vanity Fair article, that I wanted to shoot it because, like, for the DC fans, they've never had Batman and this Joker ever interact, and he looks totally different. There's no more tattoos everywhere. There's no more anything, and it appears like it's in the nightmare sequence that is finally going to get acknowledged again from Batman versus Superman. So now it won't be as pointless nonsense that we all, perceived it as, because you never followed up on it. So apparently that's one thing that this Justice League is going to do that the Whedon monster never did.
But they never let him follow up on it. Remember this?
We're crystal clear with that's where he's getting the chance. What did you guys think of? I mean, I think I already know the answer to this. Do you like the new look of? We'll call him Zack Snyder's Joker. I loved it. I thought it was very shades of Ledger mixed in with like someone who I thought would be the Joker. I don't quite understand why in this nightmare sequence, but since we're going to get clarity to it, I guess it'll make sense then. Jason, since you really, really, really hated the Joker in this movie too, what did you think of the pics that we saw earlier?
It looked interesting, but as I do with everything Batman, I hold my reservation till I actually see it live action. Because yes, I thought the pictures look interesting, but Look, I'm glad the tattoos are gone. I'm glad it looks up more like Joker, but I can't really say one way or the other if I think it's going to work until I actually see live action Jared Leto actually performing it. But yeah, I think of course it looks much better than the Suicide Squad. I mean, that Joker was garbage.
Yeah, and the fact that we're finally going to get a scene with simply Batman and Joker.
Right. That's
we're
key.
Getting Batfleck, meeting a Joker for once. Instead of being on the hood of the car, which we did see in this film, by the way. That was the only time they've ever been in the same frame at any point. Tony, what did you think of the look of the new Joker?
I love it.
New Joker.
I love it. It's the long hair, the makeup, the wearing the hospital gown. It looks great. It really does. This is, we definitely wanted to see. Well, look, we talked about it. Okay, we wanted to see Ben Affleck in a Batman movie, just a Batman movie. We wanted that. I would love to see Ben Affleck interacting with the Joker. I would love to see that. Okay, I could probably take 5 of those movies, but just to get a scene of it. Look, and I'll be honest with you. They're talking about the fact this is a one and done and whatnot or whatever. I don't buy that shit at all.
Nope.
Okay, I don't buy it at all. They're putting a lot of money and a lot into this film. They're gonna release it in IMAX. That shit costs money, right? That costs a lot of money. So I don't believe for a minute the hype behind this whole thing. If this gets reviews and people go see it and they like it, I'm telling you right now, this dude's going to be back and doing more stuff. There's no question in my mind, because he's the best thing going for them right now. Because Wonder Woman Wonder Woman made the money that it made, not only because it was a great movie, but it was a very, very good movie. But it was the symbolism of Wonder Woman and what she stood for. And when it came out, and it was perfectly, it could not have happened at a better time. Okay. When, for what is going on in today's society and so on and so forth, the need for more of that, of female superheroes, of strong female lead characters. It was perfectly timed, and it done completely, without who knew that was going to be it was going to be that way at that time, that was the need for it, but it was, and it came out. And those movies made the money that they made because of Zack Snyder's vision. Okay, they would have done more. They will do more if they have a solid base story. And this movie that we're going to get is going to set the tone for what they can go off and spin off on whatever they want at this point. But I don't think for a second that this is a one and done for Zack Snyder. There's no way.
Yeah, no, I think this is their essential Hail Mary, because, whatever, we could wrap up our Suicide Squad thing quickly, but I just wanted to say is that, yeah, I agree. I think that this is their Hail Mary to try to save their biggest IP, honestly, even bigger than Batman, Justice League. This was supposed to be your Avengers. This was supposed to be it, and obviously fell short financially and critically and everything. So this is their chance to redeem it, and they're putting all this money in. And to touch on with what Ashif's comment earlier was, by the way, he's saying that he feels it's going to deliver on some of the murder of Robin. I would like to see that in a 4-hour film. You could cut that. You could cover it.
You got plenty of time.
Yeah, my gut feeling is no, but we'll see. I think that's something that would have been more reserved for a Ben Affleck standalone that would have been covered. And I don't know if they're going to get into the Justice League. I still think they want to stay focused on Justice League this time and not, go too all over the place with it. But I think overall, though, to close this review of Suicide Squad I think we could all agree, though, that, again, for the second film in a row in the DCU, they kind of took the shortcuts. I think we all would have appreciated this movie a lot more if we would have seen these villains face off against these heroes in prior films and then team up. And not every single one. You could have had, kind of like what the Avengers did. They didn't give you the big Hawkeye and Black Widow backstory. They were, Black Widow was introduced, but, they were there. But they set up all the other characters. If we got a Batman Deadshot square off, or in that same movie, let's just say Batman Joker and Harley gets captured towards the end of the movie at some point. And then Flash, if there was a Flash film, and even you could have said Boomerang was just a side character that he kind of took in quickly and that's it. Then you see them team up, you would have appreciated it more. And the connectivity, like the choice to not go with Enchantress building the boom tube leading up to Justice League was a missed opportunity there. So again, they try to take the shortcut, and it kind of falls flat, for the second film in a row, where they should have just taken their time with it. And also, you teased us about a Batman solo film, also maybe inadvertently, and you got us wanting Batfleck even more. To maybe the things you alluded to again, like I was just saying, have that in a Batman solo movie leading up to this, and then we would have been like, okay, fine. I care about this movie more.
I definitely think if this movie was not the third in the DCEU installment, if this movie came after maybe one or two Batfleck films, a Flash film, and I don't know, like either Diablo or Croc needs to be a villain in someone's story.
Yeah.
Diablo's got the interesting backstory in the arc. Give me whoever the hell Diablo, I don't even know him from the comic. Whoever the hell Diablo faces off with normally, give me that movie, and then put these guys together, and then you've got something. Then I think more people besides me care. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Tony, I'm assuming you share the same thoughts. So, you just wish they would have built up to this.
Yeah,
and then it would have smoothed things over a lot. Then they would have had to waste so much backstory on all these characters like they did, which is funny because we all felt it was the strength of the film. But you wouldn't have had to do that. You could have had a story and then ran with that.
Yeah, I mean, I said it with Batman vs Superman. I feel like it would have been much more well received if they would have done a Batman movie first.
Yep.
For just introducing Batman, Wonder Woman, Zod, not Zod, Lex, Doomsday. Like, there's so much shit going on in that movie, and that's what takes away from the film itself. And if you had taken, and I'm not trying to compare Marvel and DC because you don't have to do it the Marvel way, but the way Marvel did it was giving you their heroes, giving you Loki and Thor, giving you, Red Skull, you're giving you some of the villains up front, and then being able to tie them in later on in different films would have worked much better. This film could have been much better if they had done that. But because they tried to race to market, thinking that this is, again, overthinking everything and thinking that this was going to be just a niche market that was going to be popular for a few years and then dissipate, they were just completely wrong.
Yeah,
they were completely wrong. They didn't realize that these are the movies that are going to make money from now on. And if they had done it right, they could have made billions upon billions of dollars.
Billions.
Missed that opportunity. They missed out on some great characters. Right? If you think about it, if Affleck doesn't, Affleck is going to come back for Flashpoint, but after that, I mean, you missed out on having him. You missed out on opportunities there. And I think that, Snyder, I'm not going to say that the Snyderverse was perfect, but I think if they would have left him alone and let him do what he wanted to do, it would have been much better. They would have been much better off than where they are right now, which is they're trying to rebuild everything. And, and Warner Brothers is taking a hit because people don't really trust them yet. Yeah. So this Snyder Cut thing had to happen on HBO Max because they couldn't just release it in theaters because they could not have made the 70 million because people said, I hated the first one. Why would I go see this one? Yeah.
And we'll see though, because again, if it turns out that if the Snyder Cut fails, then I mean, I don't know. There's a lot, they're banking a lot on this. So I'm trying to give them some faith that new studio heads are like, they saw the mistakes that were made and they're pumping the money into this and they're going to kind of save it. But the quest through the DCEU though actually gets on a very high point next week, though, because now that we've wrapped up Suicide Squad, our next step in our reviews, so next week we're going to be looking at the original Wonder Woman, which, was pretty universally loved and it was phenomenal, and we'll all get to the glowing times, and then we're, like I said, we're going to skip Suicide Squad, though. We're going to skip Justice League and save that for the timeline right before. We'll be doing that the Tuesday right before Snyder Cut drops. So we got Wonder Woman next week. After that will be Aquaman. Then we got Shazam, and then we'll be discussing, Birds of Prey, blah 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 blah, Harley Quinn or whatever. I think they actually changed the official title though. It's actually Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey or something like that. They actually nixed it,
as opposed to Birds of Prey or the Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, which I believe is the original title, and it is a damn mouthful.
I believe it's Unfantabulous Harley Quinn.
Oh, is it the Unfantabulous Harley Quinn? It's even more of a mouthful.
The Emancipation of One Fantabulous Harley Quinn, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
love that movie, but that was not a good title.
Yeah, so that's where we're heading after this, guys and girls. So thank you for joining us. This week we'll be back next week. We'll be talking about more WandaVision episode 6. We're talking about Black Lightning. Jason's excited that we're going to get back to Batwoman. Extremely excited. Who knows? Who knows who might pop up, though? Jada was super excited. Thanks again for popping on with us. He might even be a special guest star in this. Who knows? Maybe he'll be our SNL Steve Martin type thing. He'll pop in there. Who knows? But check out all the shows that we got here on popculturepros.com. You got to put it in the books for Met fans out there. Next Monday, actually, I'll be on with Tim, and we're bringing back Empire 161 for our Yankees off-season preview shows. We prime you up for the upcoming spring training and everything, because that's the day pitchers and catchers report. What else we got? We got obviously Jada and Kyle's show. You got A to Z show with Eric. No idea when 4 Quarters is coming back, but they will be back at some point. So check it all out. If you like what you saw here tonight, or whenever you're catching this, day, morning, whenever it is, jump on to Facebook, join our Facebook group of Granny's Peach Tea, join the Facebook group of Pop Culture Pros, and love it all, and join the conversation, man, because as much as we love talking to you guys on the show, we also love talking and sharing the daily information with you through Facebook. So everyone stay safe out there, wear your masks, keep your distance, get your vaccines or whatever it is, just stay safe, man. That's all we're doing, and we're hoping we can entertain you guys for a little bit each week. So take care, and peace.